Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 196. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving, Steve.
Some familiar faces at the table here. Nate Hale.
Hey.
And Nate Hale's 1 week fill-in and repeat guest.
Well, I was about to say,
Spencer Lappin.
that's not the only time he's on.
Would you like to rephrase that for
No, I got
coming up on 20 episodes here? But go ahead.
I actually
One
can,
time.
Jeez, he goes out of
My
town one
favorite
time.
I actually can go back and find out how many times you've been on.
Roll back
It's got to be close. I should get some kind of reward by now.
This smoke that we're getting into, we're going to get into it. The Drew Estate Nica Rustica is how I say it. It's a chimney, man. This is, and we've got the garage cracked here for those that are watching the video, not listening on the audio, but it's going to get a little smoky in here.
So
We're going to see a smoke, and we're just getting started.
Like,
why does the cigar do this? Just right off the
We'll
bat.
get into it. Hang on
Okay.
a second.
All right.
Yeah, all right. You co-hosted one time. All right, don't.
know your role.
It's like I said. It's in the middle with the pink. I knew it was going to get ganged up on.
So, all right, guys, thank you for joining us. If you're tuning in live, make sure you share it. I'm going to do that momentarily. If you like it, make sure to tell someone about it. We appreciate everyone spreading the community and making sure that we have more and more people on the live feed for the conversation, as well as just enjoying it on the audio or however you listen to it. We got it on YouTube as well. But I do want to start off by thanking the people that are on the Patreon page. So patreon.com/bourbon and BS podcast. That's the way you guys can do like a monthly donation or contribution to the show. Those that are here, they see we have a newer light since the old one went out. That was actually a donation from a friend and patron, Sean Wilkinson. That one did start strobing on us, so we didn't want to have anyone having issues or seizures or whatever. But so we got a new one of those, and then also for the winter, I got a new 360 propane heater topper or whatever you want to call it. And so far, we just turned that on. It's doing a pretty good job. What do you guys think?
I'm glad the Patreon money is going to good use, Steve. I'm glad you're upgrading. It feels good in here, man. It's like 30 degrees,
Like
40
32.
degrees. It's perfect.
It's like 33.
Feel great, man.
I think it's above freezing, but ice may be
it's trying to
possible.
warm
And
up.
also, if you guys want to just do a one-time donation, it's easiest just to do the Venmo at Bourbon and BS. That's a way. If you guys do also want to send a suggestion for a bottle, that'd be a way to do it for us, and we can go out and grab a bottle as long as we can get it. And then also buyjack.com/bourbon and BS. That's not a sponsor. That is actually a partnership with us that we've got. As you can see, Spencer is wearing the limited edition pink charity Pour One More, Light Up Another. We'll figure this out together. Podcast shirt. This shirt is $30. $10 of that will go to National Breast Cancer Foundation. And we've got that going through the end of the month, and then we'll be pulling that one off and hopefully getting that back up maybe next year. Or if people do have a request for that shirt, just message the show, and I can always get one sent out to you somehow. So, but now until the end of the month, make sure you grab those. I know last week when we were doing the episode, we sold an additional 3 shirts during the show, so that was fantastic. So I'll let everyone know when we get the tally at the end of the month going into December, how many dollars we're going to be donating to the foundation. So I'm excited that we can do that. I've got the black and gray version on. Not nearly as exciting, but it is pretty cool.
And then I've got the old school.
And you got the classic
Is yours long sleeve or short sleeve?
They're all T-shirts.
t-shirt.
Prove it.
Maybe in a little bit. Conversation heats up a little bit. And also Tinderbox at Easton for the Nica Rustica from Drew Estate. Thank you, Brian, and everyone at Tinderbox at Easton. Altadis USA, we've got the Monte Cristo White Series, the Rothschild, which is a show favorite for Second Cigar. It's always a nice one from them, medium-bodied. And also BS Cigar Company, gold and silver are available for the holidays. Make sure you guys stock up for any stocking stuffers or smoking on the holidays. Tinderbox at Easton, if you are local, just so you guys know, they are closed for the holiday, but have regular hours beyond that. Other than that, what are you guys doing for the holiday?
Go ahead, Nate.
I am driving up to Findlay tomorrow to spend the early part of the afternoon with the in-laws, and then driving back down to the south end of Columbus for my mom's side of the family. Actually had lunch with my mom yesterday. She came into town. She lives in North Carolina, so she
Drove
came
all the way up here for lunch.
Well, she came in town for the holiday this week, and
No, that makes sense.
and also put in her notice at work. So
You don't have to put that on the air.
I think they know.
They might.
Yeah, they do.
Maybe not everyone.
Her boss knows. Yeah. So
Nice. So family time.
yeah.
I'm headed down south to lovely Cincinnati. I got
Ooh.
my dad's family, my mom's family down there. So we obviously didn't have Thanksgiving as a big group last year.
Yeah.
So looking forward to seeing everyone here this year.
You see the lady friend?
I see a lady friend, yeah.
Hey,
I see her
hey.
for a little bit, and yeah. And
Like
we got a little
everyone with
OSU Michigan this weekend too.
Yeah, big
so-
game for
Yeah.
college football, especially in these parts. OSU and, as they say, the team up north, but I just say Michigan because I'm
Yeah.
not like, yeah, I mean, I can say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's gonna be a fun weekend. We got some good football. Watch the Bears lose and get the
Whoa,
Lions their
whoa, whoa.
first win.
That's a big
Although
game.
it is Dalton era, which I'm excited about. I think Andy Dalton has a promising career ahead of him at this point.
In football or like
That's
as
right.
a okay.
Or on the IR.
He's a nice guy. I don't know.
He's starting this week.
He's starting on
Okay.
tomorrow.
You know, I
Or
saw
not-
me
yeah,
and
tomorrow.
Yeah.
these two quarterbacks are going to make us talk to our family during that game.
Yeah, exactly.
What about yourself, Steve? What are you up to for the holiday?
Tomorrow, hang out with the pup, see some family, hit the gym.
On Thanksgiving?
That's right.
Before or after?
Probably before.
Yeah, no one goes after.
Swing by. No, not at all.
He's got to work up that appetite.
Yeah. And then I got to swing by the shop because I have to fill up the humidifier. So, yeah, it'll be a nice Thanksgiving, I think. Nice day off. And then back at the Black Friday grind the next day. So, heading into our busy season.
I'll see you there on
You will
Friday.
be there. You will be there. That's awesome. Yeah, so we are smoking the Drew Estate Nica Rustica, this cigar, and we'll get into, we didn't even mention the fact that we have our own Thanksgiving turkey, as we have done as tradition here this time. We have not done this bottle. It's a Wild Turkey Rye 101. And Nate, you said you looked up a little bit about this, get more information. We've talked a lot about Wild Turkey on previous episodes with the Russell family. My experience meeting Eddie Russell and things like that. So check back to those. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit tonight. But we're going to get into that bottle a little bit here and about that. But with the Nica Rustica, since you already asked, this is a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper cigar, San Andres binder, Nicaraguan filler. This is something that, to my knowledge, came out before Drew Estate was acquired by Swisher. Right, so that's now a thing. Nicholas Melillo, I believe, was behind this cigar. To my knowledge, again, this is all based on my own knowledge here, and not really even looking this up because I remember when this came out, it came in like a trapezoid bundle type thing in paper.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's coming in boxes, but this is going to be kind of like his, because the Liga Privada #9 was such a hit for them, and that had a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper on it, and I think this is something that they kind of tried to go a lesser version as far as not quality, but as far as price.
It's not a Liga.
It's not a Liga. But it does have, with that Connecticut broadleaf, this has a very similar, we're talking about, like, and you commented on there, Nate, that's like a chimney. That's exactly how the Liga Privada stuff smokes.
Yeah.
It has this billowing smoke off the end of the cigar between draws.
Just constantly.
Yeah. It's like a little smoke machine.
So I'm going to ask the question now. Why does it do that? Or how does it do that? Or is that a sign of a good cigar?
I don't think it's a sign of a good or bad cigar. I don't know why it would do that specifically, other than the type of wrapper leaf and the fermentation they do to the Connecticut broadleaf. That's the only thing I can think of, because this does it. The La Coalition, the newer one from Crowned Heads, that was a lower priming of the Connecticut broadleaf wrapper that they use on the Liga Privada #9. And this one does it quite a bit. But I would have to say it's just the combustion of mainly the wrapper leaf. That's coming straight off of because it's not coming from, the filler, in my opinion.
Yeah, because I can see, like, just holding the cigar here, not even puffing on it. Every now and then I can see that wrapper on the edges flare up and start burning. So it may, who knows, that may mean it's going to smoke a little quick, but we'll see.
Find out.
Do they use the broadleaf on the inside too, or just outside?
Not on this one. This is a Nicaraguan.
People will use that on the inside as well.
You will see some of that. I think the more common, you won't see as much Connecticut broadleaf used on the filler, sometimes the binder, but that's traditionally, to my knowledge, again, it'll be used as a wrapper leaf. You'll see some Nicaraguan broadleaf or even Pennsylvania broadleaf used as a filler tobacco, but not typically the Connecticut. That's the other thing with this, is that the rustic part of it, that is part of the name, right? And that's one of the things in the marketing behind it, is that it's got a little more, not as smooth of a wrapper leaf as some cigars would have. It's got more what they're calling a rustic look to it as well.
It looks
Toothy.
old school.
Yeah, it's very toothy.
Yeah.
Nate, what do you think of the cigar here?
It's actually been a while since I've smoked this cigar. From my memory, this one's actually smoking a lot different, because when it first came out and was available for years, I remember I would smoke it and like it just had a very rough texture to the smoke.
Yeah.
So that's why I used to tell people like, oh no, this is like an old school Nicaraguan. It's not necessarily a smooth cigar. Like you're going to feel this in your mouth and in your throat. But no, this one doesn't have that. So I don't know if they're able to age or ferment their tobacco a little bit longer and it takes away some of that roughness. But no, I mean, the first inch or so is, going fine so far. This is the first one I've had in probably 4 or 5 years.
Is that right?
Mm.
Spencer, what do you think? You're asking questions about
No,
like,
yeah.
smoke
The reason
and
I'm asking questions, so I'm guessing that this is more medium and even medium flavor as well. For me, when I took a look at it, I thought, I was like, oh, this is going to be a long night. I was like, this might be a little overpowering, especially
I got you.
with the rye. But this almost, not to speak poorly of the cigar, but it has the look of a cheaper cigar. It's like, hey, if it was like a $5 or $8 cigar, but it smokes so much better than that.
Yeah.
It has the look of a cigar that you can just, I don't want to say have 4 or 5 of. And Sean even mentioned that there was some sweetness to it. I definitely get some sweetness to it on off the rip, like just kind of mouthfeel, things like that. But I don't know if it's a memorable cigar, but it's a cigar that you could have multiples of, or just kind of have it in your mouth and just kind of hang on to it for a while.
Okay.
It's kind of where my head's at with it.
Yeah.
What is the price point on something like this?
It's not much more. I can look up the suggested retail. I was trying to remember because we just got it back in at our shop, and it's going to be in that like $10 range. It's not super expensive by any means. What are you asking?
You can keep talking.
Well, thanks. Thanks a lot.
I'm not trying to distract you, Steve.
You're asking questions.
Well, no,
on the
because
podcast. So
like,
go ahead.
Well, Spencer and because I noticed this, and I see this a lot with.
It's good for radio.
Right, exactly.
I see this a lot with Drew Estate cigars, and so I didn't know if it was just mine or Spencer's was doing it, but you can almost see like the way it's rolled. It's almost like they just laid the tobaccos out and then rolled it, because
that's cool.
It's almost like right down the middle. You can kind of see where it's a little bit lighter, not a tunnel like the cigar's tunneling.
Kind of looks like it.
But you can just kind of see like where it's a little bit lighter in the middle. Like that's where you're pulling air through. We talked last week with Hector, the way they do their rolling. Like sometimes you get these smaller holes of air tunnels around the outside. This one's just like one tunnel in the middle, not tunnel in a negative where like you can't draw through it.
No, the draw on this is fantastic.
Yeah.
The draw is, and when you have what you guys got going on with it, is a little bit tunneling, in my opinion. Mine doesn't have that yet. You can have it where you start getting the draw is fine, but you're not getting as much smoke because it's all funneling through where there's not a whole lot of combustion. So that is a danger of that type of a.
Is there a rating on cigars with how much smoke you get from them? Like, do they
I think depending on who's rating it. I mean, yeah, I would say based on like the amount of smoke, yeah, it'd be, because a lot of people want more volume of smoke as opposed to when you draw it in, it's just air or it's a tougher draw.
I kind of equate smoke to like the viscosity on a whiskey. So like the thicker the cloud of smoke, the more flavor there is. Kind of like with a whiskey, like the oilier it is, the more flavorful and coat your palate.
Can you guys smell like it's the smoke coming off of it? It smells like a Liga Privada number 9. It has that smell.
It's very pleasant. It's very pleasant.
It's unique though.
It is very unique.
There's always, and I'm not saying this.
I didn't know if something else was on fire or burning. That's why
it is this.
It's my cologne.
Oh, your clone. Okay.
It's that smoking hot pink t-shirt.
It's available now.
It's available now on buyjack.com/bourbonbs. No, I think that it reminds me, and when people had these rumors with Drew Estate, because they really made their name doing flavored stuff, right? The infused type of tobacco.
Go on. You thinking Swisher? Little Swish?
No, it's before Swisher. Different company. This is there was rumor that they were using something to when in the fermentation process or before they use some of the tobacco in the Liga Privada, such a unique flavor because they were doing something to it. I don't know if they are or not. They don't say they are, but this has it has a scent as it's burning, not even like was like just from just burning as we're seeing and what we're talking about. That's very unique on the nose. Would you guys agree with that? I mean, you don't smell this with any other cigars.
No, it kind of reminds me. That smell kind of reminds me a little bit of, kind of like a fire going, like a fire pit.
Yeah,
but not necessarily like, hey, I just chopped this tree down, but like treated lumber almost.
Yeah.
You're getting good at this, Nate. Jesus. I was telling Steve, a couple of weeks ago, I was like, Nate is fucking killing it these days. Like the way that your palate has adapted over the past years, it's been awesome to watch, man. It's really cool. You're picking out notes, man.
Yeah.
Treated lumber.
That's what I look for when I go.
Remember, there was another cigar that you and I had smoked, and I said it tasted like the tree bark of firewood that you buy at a gas station. And then we looked up, I forget which site we looked up a review on, and it actually said tasted like burnt.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, it tasted like burnt wood. So I just went a little bit more
that's
specific.
Not normal.
What do you think that's from?
That's that wrapper.
That's something on the wrapper.
That wrapper's wanting to burn like crazy.
Yeah. Well, Sean, do you want to say something?
Yeah,
Since you grabbed the mic.
yeah. I was just gonna say I did the same thing. I lit my
Cue to the
cigar.
producer.
Everything all right there? Okay.
He's choking.
Okay. Yeah, when I lit the cigar, it stayed lit. Like it was so weird. Like I've never just what Steve did, and it was interesting. The flavor and the taste and the way it smells is just so unique, and I cannot put a finger on it. What is it? What do you get the taste when you retrohale it? Do you get any kind of flavor?
I get a lot of spice. A lot of spice on the retrohale.
Not pepper, though.
No, not no, not
Okay,
like a black pepper.
Feel free to laugh and make fun of me. Everybody can
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
you're
your
my
palate.
I
best
think
friend.
it tastes what dog cookies smell like.
Ha!
Dog cookies.
I got these certain cookies that my dogs like, and when I take them out
It's
and I
like
give them one.
treats or
Yeah, they're like little milk bone looking things.
okay.
But it tastes almost exactly like it smells. It's not horrible.
I've had a dog cookie before. It's all right.
It just doesn't.
Were you just really hungry? Or you
I thought it was a human cookie.
It happens. Was it shaped as a bone?
Yeah.
He-
I'm a big
no,
Browns fan.
no, he
At
was
my friend's house Sunday.
no, he was pulling a Mel Gibson from Lethal Weapon, trying to quit smoking, so he just kept eating dog treats.
I know what you're saying. It's kind of got that. It's not like the full flavor of a real cookie, but it's kind of like a little bland. I kind of know what he's talking about.
Well, you've eaten them before, so I get it.
They're all edible.
Yeah, it's different.
I know they're edible.
Somewhat-
Didn't you just get
it's
your
kinda
dog new
bland.
food?
I mean, I
I
will
did. I
say
didn't try it.
Well, by law, dog food has to be edible by humans in the U.S.
Oh, there we go. We
It's-
learned so. I figured it would be. I didn't think I was like feeding them poison.
It's like on the
Don't.
blander
There's
side,
a
I
big
guess.
gap between poison and just giving the dog normal food.
If you say it's not edible, isn't that mean it's toxic?
Cardboard's not edible.
Want to bet?
Wait a minute. So why did you pick this cigar with the rye, or was
Well,
it-
so one of the reasons is obviously we haven't done it before, and so we at Tinderbox Easton just brought it back in, expanded the Drew Estate line again a little bit, and it's been years. I always thought it was a pretty good cigar, but I thought it was interesting the parallels between this blend and like the Liga Privada, in a sense that it's like almost like a not as polished, balanced cigar as a Liga Privada number 9, but that scent when we're talking about the retrohale, I was getting a little bit of like it's going to sound smokiness, but I mean, I know we're smoking a cigar, but
I know
a little
what
bit
you
like a
mean.
smokiness to it.
it's traditional?
Like a,
like smoked, like you
yes,
would.
like smoked, like mesquite or like a something
Hickory.
like, yeah, something like that, where you get that smoked flavor. So again, I don't know. I mean, like they also have brought out the Kentucky Fire Cured. I don't know if they're utilizing some of like the tobacco in there. I just don't know what they're doing with the Nicaraguan filler. Again, that Mexican San Andres binder, and then the broadleaf is the biggest like showstopper here, in my opinion, on this. Is that they even have Connecticut broadleaf on the band, which I don't think they originally did. If you look at the band,
I saw
but it
that.
is more of a rustic thing. So bringing it in. We have the Wild Turkey Rye 101 for the featured bottle. It is Thanksgiving. I thought, the whole tradition that you're not supposed to celebrate anymore of like, it's kind of like a rustic holiday. You know what I mean?
We're not supposed to celebrate.
I don't know
what is happening. Don't take me down. I can't. Just
the Puritans or whoever.
Wow.
Just took
Puritans.
I don't know. Is that
Pilgrims?
Well, that's kind of
all right. Sean,
they're neighbors.
Take a sip of that.
Okay, yes, sir.
And then take a hit off cigar. It definitely does.
Swallow or no?
You can swish it. I know. Swallow first.
Cannonball coming.
Cannonball. Kentucky Sansamia coming up, Brady. But it's got a different flavor once you take a hit of the bourbon.
Yeah, it's something in the back of the palate that, or almost the top of your throat has a different flavor.
It gives a sweeter, almost like a cinnamon type flavor to it.
It's got a nice little spice.
Mm.
Yeah. Ray asked, is it something to do with the rolling process? I think you're still talking about the tunneling, right?
Yeah. Well, because he actually commented that he had a cigar yesterday that actually had a tunnel where like it's easy to pull through. It's not like it's plugged, but you're just not getting any smoke off of it, and it's almost like it's not burning.
There's a couple things I think that can cause that. And what do you think, Nate?
I think some of that it can be a couple different things. One can be the method of rolling that they use for that filler tobacco. Another can be like as that cigar settles while it's aging either at their factory or during transit, sitting in the humidor, like the way that tobacco settles is, it might cause that tunnel to happen.
We talked about it last week with Hector, where there's a couple of bunching methods for the filler, right? And the accordion style, which I think would cause this a little bit more because as like we talked, I compared it to like furniture, right? Or like wood pieces of furniture. When you change the climate, going from a dry cold or a hot humid, you'll have expansion
and contraction
but that's the same thing with this. So as the humidity goes and on the trucks and everything else, it sits down there in Nicaragua, goes to typically like South Florida, and then gets closer to wherever you're at before you get it, and then it's in your house. But I mean, you can have that happen because these are handmade products, and
it can happen with any manufacturer.
I'd be really curious if they put a different label on this, if it become more or less popular, because it's really growing on me. The cigar itself, I do like it. I know it's not like luxurious, and I think rustic is the right way to put it. But I haven't had a cigar that tastes like this.
It's unique.
It is unique.
It's unique.
Which I mean, that's impressive to do with think about all the hundreds or thousands of cigars that are out there. And how many cigars taste like this, and it's not even a flavored or infused cigar. And anyone can use Connecticut. Well, not anyone, but Connecticut broadleaf's available to a lot of manufacturers. The San Andreas is available to a lot of them. The Nicaragua, but it's just the way they're blending and the recipe that makes the cigar what it is.
This would be a good golf cigar, or it's a $10 cigar. It's good on the golf course. It smokes. You don't have to relight it every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And then, if you hit a bad shot, you can throw it if you need it. But okay. I'm going to wait till the weather gets a little warmer.
Warm up a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, we should be good for like another 2 weeks, but
yeah, I like the whole marketing behind it as well. I mean, when it first came out, like I said, it was in a paper kind of a trapezoid bundle or whatever. It was good marketing, but again, that was a kind of a pain in the ass to stock in a humidor, right?
It was a pain in the ass to keep like in the back stock of a shelf.
Yeah. And then again, if you don't have a bin, all you're doing is like you're cutting it, and then it's just an open paper bundle or whatever. So I like that they started doing boxes, a little bit of the rebranding. It's again like almost like, I don't want to say rustic colors, but it's very like natural colors on the band as well. It had a closed foot to it, so it was a little bit of like kind of rougher feel to it.
What does a closed foot mean?
So when you lit it up, instead of having like a straight cut and like you see the filler, it was kind of wrapped over on it.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Okay.
Yeah. So when you light it up, it kind of you're lighting some of the wrap relief, which again, the way this billows out, it kind of.
And you call this a torpedo with
Bellicoso? This is called the belly. This is a longer belly. I forget what the length is, but I think it's a 54 ring gauge. But it is a large cigar. I don't know if
it was.
See that.
It was
that
at least. It was at least a 6.5.
Yeah.
7.5 by 54.
Yeah, it's a big boy. It's a big boy.
It's cold.
So,
it's cold in here.
little bigger than a Churchill.
Yeah, but it's got that torpedo head. That's what Bellicoso would be, and they actually its nickname on the box. It says that size is called a belly.
Mm-hmm.
So, so it's something that if you guys haven't had it before, I definitely would recommend checking it out based on what we're experiencing with it. But I'm glad you like it. Now, Nate, what about this Wild Turkey 101 rye or rye 101?
So if you remember, Steve, last year we had the rare breed rye.
We did.
So
What'd you have 2 years ago?
Rare breed, just regular rare breed.
Was there a 3 years ago?
I could not find that we did a Wild Turkey product 3 years ago on Thanksgiving. Would have been the first year of the podcast.
Yeah, I don't know.
I did not see it. I saw like Rabbit Hole was around that time.
Yeah.
But no, the first year of the podcast did not do a Wild Turkey. 2 years ago, we did rare breed. Last year, rare breed rye. And this year.
We've done Russell's before, other Wild Turkey products, but that's why this one wasn't on the list. And so that's why.
Yeah.
I've never had this before, but go ahead, Nate. Tell a little bit about it.
Well, so if you look up the mash bills for their different rye products, so you have Wild Turkey 81 rye, 81 proof. You have the Wild Turkey 101 rye that we're drinking. Then you have rare breed rye, and then you have their 17 or their Master's Keep rye. It's the same mash bill across the board. It's
really
so they add water to it, or what do you think?
No. So different years. 51% corn, 51% rye, 37% corn, 12% malted barley. And the 81 and 101 are using 4 to 5 year rye barrels. The rare breed that we had last year was a blend of 4, 6, and 8 year. And then the Master's Keep is 9 to 11 year barrels.
Okay.
So
what was this one?
4 to 5 year.
Okay.
So the 81, it's no longer available in Ohio unless you can find it at like one of the last call stores. And I think that's because of the price. So the 81 proof was $21.99, and I believe this is $23.99.
Yeah.
So for $2 more, you get 20 proof points more alcohol.
Are they phasing out the 81?
No, Wild Turkey's still making it. They still advertise it on their website. Okay. It's just, I think in the state of Ohio, it didn't necessarily catch on because
why would it? For $2? Yeah.
For $2 more, you get 10% more alcohol. You get 20 proof higher alcohol.
I recognize that bottle. I don't recognize this one.
Well, so recently they started changing the labels.
White label?
If you remember, Wild Turkey used to have like that full front label.
Yeah.
Now they're just doing like that smaller label towards the bottom of the bottle.
Okay.
It's no longer that full, whole front face label.
I got you.
So readily available in Ohio?
This is readily available.
Yeah.
So jumping from 81 to 101 was $2, but then going from the 101 to the rare breed rye, so you're talking 101 proof on this. Last year's rare breed rye was 112, so it's only 11 proof points higher, but it went from a $23.99 to $59.99. So it's a significant price jump. And then that Master's Keep, I mean, that's like a $200, $300 bottle.
What's just regular Wild Turkey 101 costs?
Low 20s.
Okay,
like
so about the same.
$22, $23. Yeah.
And 101, if you guys remember from previous shows, that's the proof that Jimmy Russell likes it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the original master distiller.
So, Nate, have you had this one before?
I have had this. Originally, when this came out, it was only available in 1 liter bottles.
Really?
And then they have since gone to the traditional fifth, the 750 ml. And it's interesting, like going from the 750 to the liter bottle, it jumps almost $10 in price for only a third more. It's more than a 50% increase in price. So I think that's one of the reasons why the fifth bottle probably outsells the liter now.
I would imagine, yeah. I do like the marketing behind it. I mean, this does have also, I mean, it's a traditional, like, I like that it's not just like a wine bottle, you know what I mean? It's like an old school whiskey bottle.
Yeah.
And it has in the glass, it has a turkey above the label that they have on just about a quarter of the front.
Yeah.
And
That's just part of
they're
the new.
also bold, genuine, and true is on the bottle.
Yeah, it's just part of the new marketing that
Yeah.
Wild Turkey's been doing over the last year or
I
two.
like it.
And I think by shrinking down that label, you're seeing more of the juice in the bottle.
Yeah, it's got a great color.
Yeah.
Got a great color. It does have, I think, some of that not only traditional, like a little bit of rye spice, but you also have like the wild turkey spice. You know, which is again what the Russell family is I feel like known for. You got a spice to the all of it. Wild turkey, 101, rare breeds. This one you've got the Russell's Reserve.
Yeah, Jake.
Everything's got some spice to it.
Jake always used to say like Wild Turkey was one of those brands that if you gave him anything from Wild Turkey,
You could taste it?
whether it be Wild Turkey, Russell's, like he could identify that as a Wild Turkey product
It would be a good guess.
just
based on
because that
yeah.
unique spice that they tend to have.
A little bit of pepper to it.
Well, and if you remember, so last year we thought that rare breed rye was going to be like super spicy
Mhm.
because of the age and rare breed. We didn't realize until we actually talked about it on the podcast that it's only a 51% rye on the mash bill.
Yeah.
So it's not a super spicy rye. It's got enough corn to try and balance that out a little bit. But I do think compared to the rare breed, this being a 4 and 5 instead of the 4, 6, and 8, I think we get a little bit more spice from this one because I listened back to last year's episode and that the rare breed rye, we seem to think it was a little bit more balanced, a little bit more complex in terms of the flavors that we were getting off of that one.
Based on what we're talking about now.
Yeah.
I got you. Well, you know what cigar we smoked? You recall? I mean, when you were listening to that, what were we smoking?
We were smoking the My Father Fonseca.
Wow. So that
The
would be
Cedros.
right. That would be a totally different flavor profile cigar too.
Yeah.
Than this, because I'm getting a little like it's. I don't want to say dry, but it's like a spice, but it's lingering a lot between the two of them, and it's a little bit of cotton.
Yeah, the spice on my palate definitely lingers from this bottle.
I'm getting way more flavor out of the cigar personally than I am out of the bourbon.
Okay.
The bourbon almost is like a good addition to the cigar versus the other way around for me personally. Maybe that's just because I'm really trying to focus on the cigar because I haven't had something that tastes like this. But the bourbon itself on its own is delicious. But I think that it's almost just an accompaniment to the cigar itself that enhances it, or vice versa. Like I feel like I don't get the full Wild Turkey rye. Maybe it's because it's also not a high rye, so I'm not getting the same types of spices that I'm normally like from a rye. Like this doesn't, for me. Do you feel like this is a true rye? Like, can you tell like right off the bat that this is a rye?
Yeah, because I get more.
Says it on the bottle.
Well,
No, I know what he means.
not much of a reader.
But no, because
Podcast guy.
like,
Yeah.
the typically the spice you get from a rye is going to be a little bit different than the spice you would get from a bourbon. Even when you do a high rye bourbon, you're starting to get into that realm of some of that spice, but there are different types of spices between a rye and a bourbon.
So what's like a high rye? What like percentage is that?
In terms of a bourbon?
Yeah.
So a lot of times we consider like a high rye bourbon anything that has more than 20% rye in the mash bill. But in order for it to be a rye, just like with bourbon, it's only got to be at least 51% rye. So like Woodford's is 53.
We said that's what this is.
This is 51. Yeah.
51.
This is 51, 37, and 12. So there's a good amount of corn in this mash bill. And I think they do that in order to try and have a little bit more balance.
You get a little sweet.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this
Yeah.
is sweet.
But like I said, they use that same mash bill for 4 different rye products. It's
Right.
the same mash bill instead of trying to do something different. And I think it goes to show like the complexity and difference between the 4 different ryes. Like this is what you can get using one mash bill, different ages and blending. Like you can have so many different flavor profiles between those 4 whiskeys.
Do me a favor, both you guys, and don't smoke the cigar for a second and take a good drink of water and then go. Like I'm not saying add water to the whiskey, but take a good drink of water.
Cleanse the palate a little bit.
Yeah, and then go straight to the whiskey.
I do like the smell of the whiskey, by the way.
Mhm.
It's dry.
It's dry. What do you?
For me, it's dry.
Can killed the spice a little bit.
Yeah, I get more sweetness up front.
Yeah.
I get more sweetness, more caramel and vanilla up front.
Yeah.
And then it's not until the finish that spice is there.
Yeah.
But
it's a lot fainter.
It is like I don't think it's lingering as much.
I mean, we're going to cash the bottle. It's a good bottle.
I think
for $24, we're going to cash.
I think as you drink this, like as you're drinking it, the whiskey kind of just sits on your palate a little bit, and so it just kind of builds and builds and builds on the finish. So your tunnel's at the bottom at one side.
I think mine's starting to move.
But no, so
it'll go away.
I think like if you were just drinking this, as you drink it, the finish lasts longer because it's just building on your palate from being oily and sticking to your palate.
Mm-hmm.
Rinsing it out, it kind of resets your palate completely to where now that finish is a little bit shorter. And then as you continue to drink it, it'll build back up again.
So I was telling Steve, we watched a little football over the weekend.
Yeah.
And
nice.
And I did a bourbon tasting with some customers, and the bourbon tasting was bourbon and chocolates.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that was a thing, but we did.
There's a couple distilleries down in Louisville.
I told him that.
Yeah.
But we did 5 or 6 different bourbons, and we did 5 or 6 handmade chocolates, and they were all, there wasn't just like a Hershey's, like they were like, luxury chocolates or whatever. But it'd be interesting to see what type of chocolate would go well with this.
There's actually a chocolatier in downtown Louisville that some of the local distilleries actually work with to create a chocolate specifically for their tastings.
Same thing. Interesting.
Yeah, I was telling him about the Old Forester one was really unique because it was like this marshmallow.
It's like a chocolate covered s'more almost.
Yeah, it was like caramel marshmallow and had like salt on top of the chocolate too, like sea salt on there. And I mean, it just obviously kind of exploded a bit. You know what I mean? As far as flavor profile.
I think a chocolate that has like a little bit of orange zest would go well with this because the citrus and then the floral of the rye, I think those work very well together. I
will say that you guys talked about sweetness on the Nica Rustica is that I do think that it's almost like a smoked candied type of a flavor. And now you bring up the chocolate.
We doing this? Fuck it. Let's do it.
The heater's working pretty
nice. Steve doesn't have an undershirt.
Fuck it. Let's do it.
He's closer. All right. So my wife texted me, Spencer, that sometimes at certain angles you look like Wolverine on camera.
That's
a huge compliment.
It's most angles.
We're talking Hugh Jackman Wolverine.
Yeah,
it's all about.
Sure.
And I was like, yeah, I agree. I've said that for years. So
I'll tell you. There's worse things.
He was sitting inside with a makeup guy for a while. Put on the fake
It's just it's just a little stubble. That's all. It's natural. It's natural.
You didn't have that when you walked in the house.
It's not shaped or anything.
Not at all.
I don't have a beard guy.
You don't have a beard guy. Good. So let's get into the rating here a little bit for part 1 here. The whiskey, cigar, and the pairing. So again, Wild Turkey Rye 101, and then also the Nica Rustica from Drew Estate, the whiskey and the cigar, and then the pairing. So out of 10 for all 3 of those things. Spencer, you go ahead first.
All right. I'm going to make a comment on these ratings here.
Okay.
All right. So no one really starts off anything below like 5 or 6, right? They just don't.
Typically, no, I'd say no.
Everything you have, people start at like a 7.
I think the lowest, because I actually keep track of it, I think the lowest we've ever given a cigar on the podcast was a 6.
Okay. So I'm just going to say for $10, and you can't give this to a new cigar smoker because this is a more, in my opinion, traditional, like you said, rustic. This is kind of what a cigar, I don't want to say should be, but you're not smoking this at a casino in Vegas. This is you're outside, you're chopping wood. Like this is like this is when he's in training. This is a cigar smoker's cigar.
Okay.
Steve, when he's Captain America out there just splitting logs.
Right.
Yeah, just for $10, this is a great cigar. In saying that, you can't go because I know what we have next. And in my opinion, like I love the White Series.
Monte Cristo White Series is the second cigar from Altadis.
And you've had that for me a few times on the podcast, and that's just I know what I'm getting. It's going to burn right. It's going to taste the way I want it to.
Yeah.
But this is a 8.2.
Nice
cigar. Great cigar. Unique taste. Nothing special about. But for $10, it's going to be tough to find a better cigar.
Yeah, I'd say.
Bourbon,
rye.
The rye. So are we taking costs involved in this, or is just
That's
It's
your rating.
Yeah,
All right.
it's up
My
to you.
rating, I gotta go. I'll go a 7.8, and that's not a bad rating. It's a delicious bourbon for $24, and we will cash the bottle. And I would be happy to have this on my shelf all day
Mhm.
for this. For me, it
You can make
just
a good Manhattan.
I think it would make a great Manhattan.
Yeah,
You know,
a
and
big
you're not
Manhattan guy.
you don't feel like you're wasting it because it's $24
Yeah.
to make a wonderful mixed drink with a rye. I am a Wild Turkey fan. I think everyone at the table is a Wild Turkey fan.
Yeah.
I do think that the cigar might be overpowering a little bit. Combined, I'm gonna go with I'll go 8.4. Because this is one of the first times I've been on the podcast, more times than I'd like to recall. But this is
You
one of the
don't
first
You
recall.
times.
bring it up every time you're on.
Take the hint, write down the number. But I think that this is one of the few times where the cigar truly overpowers the bourbon, and the bourbon's a good
A lot
accent.
of flavor.
Yeah, a lot of flavor out of cigar, but it's a fantastic bourbon. But together, 8.5, I'd say.
Sean,
Which is a good rating.
how about you, Sean?
I've
Sean's
got
doing this
I've
as
got a
well.
lot. All right.
You got a
So
lot.
Cut the mic. Cut the mic.
All right.
Pinky Descadero. Just knock it off. All right.
That's for charity, sir.
Yeah, it's for the kids.
I know it is, but not for
Right,
him.
no way.
Not for him though.
Go ahead, Sean.
All right.
I told you should cut the mic.
No, for the cigar by itself, I would give it. It's growing on me now, probably an 8. At first, I was kind of iffy with it. I don't know, maybe at the foot it wasn't. It just it's kind of bland at first. Now it's starting to get some more flavor to it. I think so, I'll keep it at that. And then with the whiskey, I would go an 8.5. But for me, if you pair it with, if you take a hit of the cigar, no, I can't remember what I did first. I think I hit the cigar and then drank the whiskey.
I don't know.
Squeeze the lemon in your eye.
Yes.
Snort the salt.
Yes. I think it was, I drank the whiskey first and then had the cigar, and it just brought so many different flavors. It was really good.
Of the cigar.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when I did the sip of water
That's cool.
with the whiskey, that really made it a lot. I killed the heat a little bit and brought out more
Yeah.
sweetness to it.
Yeah.
So I'd say with the pairing, I'd give it 8.5.
Nice.
So there's a lot of you gotta kind of have to do just try different things with it. If
Yeah.
you drink it before, and then smoke or something like that. It definitely makes it a little bit different.
No, I agree with you. How about you, Nate?
So one of the things I've been doing lately with my pairings is I actually try and write them down before everyone else says theirs. That way I'm not changing mine.
So you're easily influenced.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Stand
Well,
by it, man.
So on the whiskey.
Why is it in Russian?
He's been studying.
Yeah.
So on the whiskey, I'm a 7.5 on the whiskey.
Okay.
Comparing in my mind, I compare this to the rare breed. I like the rare breed's flavor more. This is more of a value, being almost 1/3 of the price, but I just like the flavor of that rare breed so much more that I'd be willing to pay the $60 for that one. This is one
That's
of those,
saying a lot for you.
right? It's growth. But no, I mean, this is one of those that I would buy this bottle if I needed a bottle at home to just, if I wanted a rye that I just wanted to have at home and drink a couple glasses every single night, and I didn't care if I killed it in a week. This is a bottle like
Couple days,
that I
maybe.
would. Depends on the days.
It's the holidays.
But yeah, I mean, it's a good bottle. I mean, especially at $24, it is good, but it's not as complex and balanced as the rare breed rye was.
Doesn't have the same depth.
No.
Yeah.
And again, that's going to be because of the age of the barrels. 4 and 5 year barrels versus 4, 6, and 8 year barrels.
Yeah.
And the rare breed was 112 instead of 101, so it was a little bit more oily.
Mhm.
So that's another reason why the flavors were different. Cigar, I'm a 7 on the cigar. I mean, it's a good smoke. Not one of my favorites by Drew Estate, even at that price point. But for being a 7.5 by 54, I feel like this, and we talked about, how that cigar just, continues to smoke like a chimney when you're not even puffing on it. I think the cigar smokes a little too fast. Even though it's a $10 cigar, like you're still going to get, probably an hour and a half out of it. But for like a 7.5 by 54, for most other brands, like I would expect like a 2-hour smoke.
Interesting.
So like Monte Cristo Espadas, they're 7 by 54 Churchills.
Yeah.
Like those are, hour 45, 2-hour smoke for me. I'm almost to the band. I got about an inch and a half before I get to the band on this one, but we're only 45 minutes in. So, and then pairing.
45 minutes and you're halfway through it, so you're about
more than halfway. I'm more than halfway through the cigar.
You get a lot of bang for the buck.
Yeah.
I'm more than halfway through the cigar, so this one probably won't last an hour and a half. As far as the pairing, I agree with Spencer in that the cigar I think is a little bit much for this whiskey. So on the pairing, I'm a 7.
I like it. Good to have you back,
Well,
comrade.
It's just, but no, it's just
You're
straight
right.
across the board.
I felt like I was being harsh. I should have gone your way. I was being too nice. You're right.
No, doing the ratings for almost 2 years now that we have, like, I feel like, especially early on, like we were just throwing 8s and 9s out all the time.
I'm going to start at 6s and switch it up.
Start at 1, man.
I'll start at 1.
It is a scale 1 to 10.
Yeah, but no one ever does 5. Like, you guys had one whiskey that you guys gave like a 2, right?
I did.
He did. He was.
I like that.
I was in the audience.
Not everything should be 7, 8, 9. This isn't figure skating. Go ahead, Steve.
Thank you. Yeah. By the way, I need to watch the new version of that. Looks good. Whiskey. So both of these are not going to be go-tos for me. So at that price point again, yeah, $24, whatever. It's a decent bottle. It is what it is type of a thing. It's a spicy product as usual from Wild Turkey. It's not going to be the Wild Turkey choice for me if I'm going in to buy a bottle of a Wild Turkey. You know what I mean? I'm not even talking about going up to what you had said, the rare breed.
The Russell 6-year rye for $34.99.
Yeah, it's just not my favorite product from them. At that, I'd give it a 7.5 for the bottle. I think it's a solid bottle. Again, for the price, but it's not something. It would be one that, yes, you could sip on. It's a nice warm drink. You know what I mean, for a night like tonight.
Starting to feel it a little bit.
Yeah. You do feel a little bit, and then, but it's like the flavor profile. It's there. It's got a lot of like the sweetness and the spice as well. I say the 7.5. I'm only going to put a disclaimer on there to a point where getting into the pairing, I don't think it's going all that well with the cigar. So I don't think 7.5. That's with the current situation that we've got going on here.
Do you think you would rate it higher if we weren't smoking this cigar? Okay,
I don't know. Cigar, I give that an 8. I think again for what it is, I think it's a good cigar. I'm being generous with the 8 because of the construction. All 3 of ours tunneled at one point. Looks like yours still is tunneling, Nate.
Well,
so that's a problem for me because I had to relight mine and have to like really get it going because I was starting to get to that danger point where
you weren't getting a lot of smoke out of it.
Getting a lot of smoke. So that's where the construction. So giving it an 8, I think it's just like it is such a unique flavor profile on the cigar that I do like that. It's not again something I would go back to all the time. Just in cigars in general, and also from the Drew Estate portfolio. So it's not going to be. And then the pairing I'm going to give, it's weird because doing that water thing that I had you guys do where you drank the water and the whiskey tastes different, cigar, but going back and forth to it, Sean was kind of getting at the point where, if you smoke the cigar first, like you take puffs first and then you take a sip, or you take a sip first and then the cigar, it's just, there's a lot going on there, but it's not all good. So it's not even too much work. He says too much work for those that can't hear him, but I don't even think it's too much work. It's just like, I don't know which, it's kind of moving all around on me. You know what I mean? It's not a consistent pairing. So, did I give her a number yet?
Not yet.
Pairing 7.5 on the pairing. 7.5 on the pairing. And it's putting out a lot of smoking it. We have the garage cracked in a sense, like almost, a quarter open. And that smoke is just fucking lingering.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get stuffed up from it, just like breathing it in
The good news is it comes down.
right at us.
Yeah.
That's a good. You get to smoke it twice. But that being said, we're going to kind of roll into to part 2 here. And I want to thank our sponsors, Tinderbox at Easton, Altitude USA, and PS Cigar Company. Tinderbox at Easton in Columbus, Ohio, for the Nica Rustica. Thank you very much. Altitude USA, we've got that Monte Cristo White Series for part 2. Well, I'm going to be smoking the Nica for a while longer. And BS Cigar Company, the gold and silver are available. You guys at patreon.com. We mentioned it in the beginning of the show, patreon.com/bourbon and BS podcast. You can do a monthly. There's tiers, $5, $10, $25. You get a discount on the t-shirt page. We will get you a t-shirt for any new Patreon members or patrons. Based on what you're contributing, I will send you a shirt just based off of that. What?
It's very kind of you.
Just like
Why are
when
you looking at me like that?
I haven't got a free t-shirt.
You got a shirt.
I didn't get a shirt.
The one he's wearing?
Did not get. Oh, I have that.
Yeah. When we first started doing shirts, yes, you did.
And now I'll just be able to order it from buyjack.com/bourbon and BS, and I'll just ship it straight to you.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate that.
Not you. For any new members. Jeez. Yeah. Or Venmo at Bourbon and BS. That's a way to throw some money our way just to buy a bottle or whatever you'd like to do. We appreciate the support. Like I said, we got a new heater in the garage. You can see it's 46 degrees. That's probably why we're all not bundled up yet.
Feel good, man.
Yeah, it's not bad in here. And then also, like I said it already, buyjack.com. That's byjack.com/bourbon and BS. These shirts, all 3 of them are available on there. There's also some BS swag on there as well, BS Cigar Company swag on there. This is a limited, the pink shirt that Spencer's got on. Again, that's a charity shirt, charity pink, and $10 of that purchase will go to National Breast Cancer Foundation, which we appreciate all you guys and the support on that. I know last week was it Tyler and you had people in your family, Nate, that had survived breast cancer. So kind of hits home to some of the people I know, some of the listeners as well. So thank you guys for the support on that. For those that are listening live, stay tuned, share it, like it, review it. For those listening on the audio, make sure you subscribe. If you're on YouTube as well, hopefully you guys are doing the same and sharing it as well. That subscriber base is slowly creeping up as well. I know Facebook has been great for us for a long time, but things have changed on there as far as I know, some people not getting alerts and stuff like that. So make sure you try to tune in every Wednesday night, even the night before a holiday, to listen to us every week and contribute to the conversation. We'll be rolling into a short intermission, and we'll see you guys on part 2 here. But
don't forget with the shirts, if you're a patron, that there is a special page.
Discount, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So we haven't had any new Patreon members in the last week. So if you guys do sign up to that, you'll get access to a discounted swag site as well. And we have some new designs coming out here shortly, hopefully in December for the holidays. Cheers. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. We'll see you on part 2. What do you want to be thankful for next year? Ooh, good one.
I got it on my Patreon. I'll go $25 a week again.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
A week?
I mean, 25 a month?
A week?
25 a month or
Daily.
Yeah. Daily, you know. As long as I'm
we'll
here.
take that.
Sean, do you have any nicknames?
I'm not telling you.
Roadshow.
I'll take Roadshow.
That's a good one.
It's on his hat.
I know. God damn it.
Sorry.
I think that's a few.
Jesus. All right, I'm gonna share the YouTube link here on the.
Open the garage.
Sure.
See if we can't get some smoke out of it.
Oh, yeah. As soon as you open that garage, look at the floodlight outside, and you'll just see the smoke billowing out.
Hey, keep entertained. You're in charge.
I'm in charge? All right.
What religion do you think is best and why?
No, we are not doing that topic, Spencer.
Who'd you vote for?
Ray posted a picture the other day. He got Elijah Craig out in Vietnam, regular, and he was asking how much it was here. And in the state of Ohio now, Elijah Craig's bumped up to $31.99, and he paid $50 in Vietnam for that bottle.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, a lot of it's imported. A lot of stuff's more expensive out there. Um,
Oh, nice.
yeah. So last year, if anyone remembers our Thanksgiving episode, instead of, traditionally, like a lot of our families for Thanksgiving, we do the whole, what are you thankful for this year? Always looking back. Last year, Steve had a great idea of, instead of looking back at what you are thankful for, what do you want?
This, by the way.
Huh?
In part 2.
That's fine. It's the intermission. It was, looking forward. What do you want to be thankful for? And so I actually went back and listened to that. And Dustin and Shannon were both on remote because there were people in their households with COVID. So I actually looked back at what Steve and I had said, and see what actually came true, what we hit on, and kind of do the same thing. I'm actually going, while I still have some of this Nica, I'm actually going to crack another rye real quick and see how this rye goes with this cigar. Spencer's emptying his glass, that way he can try it as well.
I'm just trying to be a good taste tester with
And
you.
and this is a rye that I've never had. And and I found it at the Last Call store here in town. Now,
You'll hate that. Give me that.
now being that it's on Last Call,
Alabama.
Alabama.
No, it's interesting. So I was saying the same thing at home before I left to come here. Like, this says the distillery's in Alabama, and it says it twice on the label.
Oh,
But then
because it's from Alabama.
Wait, no.
No, it's not yet. They're getting back there.
When you turn the bottle and look at the side, it's distilled in Indiana.
Indiana.
So we probably know where that's
MGP.
coming out of. But then it's bottled in Florida.
Yeah. So Clyde Mays, I did meet the grandson, I believe it was. Would love to get them on here at some point. That was a couple years back, and it was just starting, I think, to be distributed in Ohio. And it used to, if you look at the history, they used to do it, but I think then they had problems doing distilleries in Alabama based on laws.
Mm-hmm.
And so now they have worked through some of that, and I think that's the plan from last I remember. The family with Clyde Mays, they're working on doing their own distilling again. So they're kind of like steps behind some of the Ohio ones or the other states that are newer distilleries. They start with sourced whiskeys, right? Right?
Yeah.
There you go. So I think that's where they're going with it. So hopefully they'll get back to doing everything in house.
All right.
What was your
Sean, how's your glass look over there?
Almost done.
All right.
I'm gonna try.
Sean's
That's
like,
the
ooh.
face that he
Sean
made.
just now paid attention and saw I had another rye up here.
Detroit
Oh, I got
City.
a question.
What was that?
Oh, Sean has a question.
Detroit City.
What is your
we're not
question,
getting
Sean?
that,
Probably
the
you.
company.
The whiskey or bourbon. What did we have last week? That was what did we have on the show last week?
We had Smoke Wagon.
Okay.
Smoke Wagon is a guy out in Vegas who is buying MGP bourbon barrels
Okay.
and then blending them himself
Yes.
for his
was that a
product.
rye?
No.
No.
Smoke Wagon's delicious.
Because it was like I recall with that one, it's like
It was-
on the nose. It was real sweet.
It was a high rye mash bill,
Okay.
but it was not a rye. It was a bourbon.
No.
Okay.
Donated from someone else.
Because I just remember how like sweet, like on the nose, and it was like a really good tasting. Whereas this one, and I've noticed other ones too, just a little bit like not
You're
as dark.
You're
or-
talking about the Wild Turkey.
Yeah, and it's not as sweet as some other ones.
Yeah.
As rye as if I had.
Yeah, the Wild Turkey compared to that Smoke Wagon, even though, again, this is a rye versus the bourbon from
Mhm.
last week, this does come across a little thinner on the nose.
Yeah. Okay. It's crazy how that does it. So cool.
So cool.
Steve, do you want these over there by you?
No.
Okay.
Not right now. I mean, I'm not even through the first cigar yet.
I know.
I got the Monte Cristo White series next.
What?
So you want to talk about some of the current events? Is that what you said, Spencer?
I'd like to talk to you and just see how you guys feel about them.
Might as well do it on the air. No, just
I
kidding.
mean,
We're not
might
doing
as
that.
well empty 50% of the audience.
Are you guys ready for part 2 here? Nate?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm just respond to Ray. He goes, "How is that legal?" I don't know what Ray was talking about.
All right. Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 196, part 2, Beyond the BS. We're still smoking the Nica Rustica from Drew Estate, which is from our sponsor, Tinderbox at Easton in Columbus, Ohio. So thank you guys at Tinderbox at Easton for supplying the featured cigar. Check them out. Not really online, but on social media. And then you can also give them a call, and they do shipping about once a week. But if you're looking for something, you don't have a local brick and mortar, or if your brick and mortar does not have what you're looking for, like the Nica Rustica, you can always call Tinderbox at Easton and they get a package out to you, as well as one of our other sponsored cigars like the Monte Cristo White Series from Altadis, which is another sponsor. Thank you very much to Altadis, Josh Bentley, and everyone else from that company. They've been fantastic to the podcast, and also BS Cigar Company. We do have a couple golds here on the garage as usual, and the silver is also available. The gold is from Plasencia Tobacco, and the silver is from La Zona and Eric Espinosa. Hector was our featured guest last week, and he was the blender of the BS Silver along with Brian Joyce and myself on that project, and we've had a lot of success with that one as well as the gold. So we appreciate all those sponsors as well as what's on the screen right now. Buyjack.com. You can get shirts. Buyjack.com/bourbon and BS. Like the pink shirt that is a charity shirt, goes to National Breast Cancer Foundation. $10 of the purchase price will go to that. That's going to be limited edition now until the end of the month. We've had it up all of November, part of October. And we appreciate everyone supporting the cause and supporting the podcast at the same time. We do donate part of that to from the proceeds, like I said, $10 to that foundation. And we're looking forward to letting you guys know what our first effort was as far as success of the dollar amount. We appreciate everyone doing that. And Spencer, you for buying that as well.
Of course. Have you been surprised yet in the number of the charity shirts we've sold so far?
Not really surprised. I mean, we've got some loyal supporters that, when the opportunity's out there that, they'll do it, like Spencer. A couple people that I don't know who they went to. It's just I just get an alert that a shirt has sold. I don't know who to. But Sean Anderson, who's been on the show, he actually was posting pictures.
He was
on the Facebook
ones,
Facebook community page, Bourbon and BS community page, that he was sporting that. I think it was around Halloween time, so he jumped on it really early. Appreciate that. Also, I've got the black and gray. Nate's got the original, the OG of the gray and
which almost
black.
looks a little faded.
It's soft.
It is.
That's a soft shirt.
That's a
good
soft
shirt.
one. The new one's from Buyjack. It's a little darker gray with the black, and I think it'll hold up a little bit better.
Cool.
I really do.
Good thing I have two of these.
Yeah.
I just rotate them.
Absolutely.
Like Steve Jobs.
Just all turtlenecks.
Patreon.com/Bourbon and BS podcast. You guys can do a monthly contribution. You also get discounted rates to any of the swag on the buyjack.com site as well for the podcast. And then Venmo @Bourbon and BS. We got our first Venmo donation last week. So we appreciate that. You guys are amazing for all the support coming in from all different angles. Trying to make it as easy as we can.
Was it listed? Was it tagged for anything specific or just a donation?
Just support.
Oh, awesome.
Just support.
And then wasn't there on Saturday, someone came into the shop and donated bottles and cigars?
Yes. Lou and Cindy. So they Lou drove up from Cincinnati area and dropped off some cigars and also some whiskey from one of their favorite smaller distilleries. So, and also the cigars are out of Florida as well. I think Ybor City. So
okay,
something
cool.
that we don't have here in Ohio, but it'd be fun to do an episode, and that'll be coming up. We're kind of booked out until about mid to late December, so it might be January when we do those.
Okay, cool.
But so
It's
appreciate
not like that
so
whiskey's going to go bad. Just have to make sure you don't drink it before now and then.
won't do it.
You don't drink it before it goes.
Let's crack it open. Here, I'll try some of that Clyde Mays.
That's why I brought this bottle.
So I will tell you that the Clyde Mays, I know we're not doing it, but it already has more flavor. It's just got.
Go ahead.
Jesus, guys, no, sorry.
That's still a lighter pour than Hector or Laurel or Miguel.
So I think the Clyde Mays actually might hold up a little better against this the first cigar actually.
And Jody Jackson says, "You're right on that," but she says, "I'm still waiting on women's gear. I'm working on it.
Just smaller size.
No, so they have
the cut. She wants to.
You know what,
I know,
Jody? I gotta
I
send
know,
you. You'll
I
be
know.
our focus group, and then I'll maybe post it on some of the stuff too. And I was talking to people from By Jack John, who's my contact there, great guy. He was saying, and we're kind of, I was Bourbon and Blondes, check them out as well. They've been on the show before, but they're based out of St. Louis. That's where this company is. So we kind of hooked up through that. And we were talking about it, the V-neck t-shirts. It's different for women, I guess, that, they've got some V-necks. I know the Bourbon and Blondes on theirs, they have like a deep V, women's deep V. So I don't know.
I like a good deep V. Like, don't tease me. Don't tell me with a good time, Steve. I'll kill a bitch for a good deep V.
Whoa.
Yeah. I like
all right, but Jody, yes, I am working on that. I've got a few designs going into December. I'll actually message you the two different options that I'm looking at for the V or the deep V. See what you think.
Very kind of you, Steve.
I guess it depends on the woman whether they want the V or the deep V.
Yeah, and that's what John was actually saying on the from buyjack.com. I mean, he was saying that with women, he's had, because it's literally cut. It's not just a smaller size like it's not a unisex. It's cut in narrow. So with women, it's they don't know what to order. So they're having some things where they were having him contact and be like, well, this is too small or it's too big. You know what I mean? Just because they've never had that cut of a shirt, where these are more or less t-shirts.
Got it.
Yeah. Bobby Hirschman says Tim Kine would also love a deep V.
I believe he's down in Nicaragua.
So we get some deep V's for the men too. Or you can order the ladies.
Could Bobby post a video this year of his New Year's Day parade?
Could
he post it to the page?
What is that called?
The Mummers.
What is it?
The Mummers.
Mummers, yes, Mummers.
The Eagles are actually doing decent this year. Give them something to celebrate.
Bobby's in Miami, or no, Tim's in Miami. Anyways, let's get back on track here. So last year we were doing, and Nate, you were talking about a little bit in the intermission. When I looked at it last year, and every time, I feel like a tradition for a lot of families or friends and stuff around this time with Thanksgiving, part of the holiday is to go around the table, if you will, and whether it be literally or metaphorically go around the table, but you're talking about what you're thankful for in the last year. You're talking about things that up until that point, what you're thankful for. And a lot of those, and rightfully so. And I think if you are, able to say you're thankful for things like family, friends, health, good, just good fortune in general, I think they're all very, very well deserved to be brought up as something you're thankful for. But something that we talked about last year, and I thought that is something I talked to Nate as well about it, is when I looked at it at that time last year and this time last year, I was trying to kind of reframe some things and what were going on in my life and with as positive of an attitude that I could, right? Given the circumstances, what was going on in my personal life, going on and just in general in the world, as well as, looking forward to. And I think this is a healthy exercise for a lot of people, no matter what the scenario is. But when you talk to, say, your future self, you look at yourself next Thanksgiving, so Thanksgiving 2022, what are you hoping to possibly be thankful for at that time? Is it the same stuff? Is it something that you're shooting, some of your goals right now, whether it be health, business, career, personal life, whatever it might be? I think there's a change in the way you think about things in life that, yes, and I kind of want to start with you guys and anyone out there, and I'll throw the comments up on the screen. Sean, you're invited as well. I know Shannon's on his way, but it's something that we can start with. What are you thankful for? I think both sides of it are very, very valuable. And I remember where I was last year for Thanksgiving. At one point when I was talking with the family I was with, was saying the same thing. Hey, last night we talked about this. What are you going to be thankful for? And I remember one of the people at the table was just like, wow, that's a really unique way to look at things. And I think it's something that we need that.
I don't disagree with you, Steve. During the pandemic, people are saying we got to learn from this. Mm-hmm. We can't remember what, we got to learn something from this. Don't take this for granted. And I feel like very, very quickly, myself included, is we haven't learned the lessons that were.
You're talking about just everything in the last 24
months.
Okay.
All the things that we took for granted, to be able for the three of us to be sitting next to each other. This feels normal. This feels like it was a couple years ago, whereas 18 months ago, I know that we did it or you did it from Zoom and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, last year, this episode, it was just Steve and I in the garage, and Dustin and Shannon were on remote because Dustin had tested positive for COVID, and then Mrs. Shannon had tested positive for COVID. So
well, finish your thought there.
No, my thought is, so it's almost so what we're thankful for, you almost have to go back, because we're rounding third and headed for home. We're not there yet. We still got we still have to wear masks sometimes. I took an Uber over here, you still have to wear masks. A lot of people are still
not all Uber drivers are requiring that, though.
Sure. But we're still not back to where it was, pre-pandemic and things like that.
Right.
So it's at this point next year. First off, when I hear 2022, it almost feels like 2020, 2021 were almost washes.
Yeah.
When I hear 2022, that seems like the future.
Well, it is.
Right.
Future.
But I mean, I was
a month away.
A few months ago, I was buying wine. It had the sign, if you were born on this date in 2000, you can't buy, or congratulations, you can buy alcohol, or we're sorry, you can't buy alcohol.
Yeah.
So when I hear 2022, it's like you almost have to scratch 2020 and 2021. But we're all, I don't know who's vaccinated, who's not, and things like that. But at this point, last year, my Thanksgiving was very different than it's going to be this year. My Thanksgiving last year was with 3 people, and this year it's going to be closer to 15 to 20 people. So my goal is next year is that we don't have to worry about how many people are at the table, who's old, who's young, who's vaccinated, who's not. That'd be something really to look forward to next year. And hopefully we can be like, hey, remember what it was like 2 years ago when it was just you two talking on Zoom with people because they couldn't be here, or you could only be with certain members of your family, or some people, if you were infected with COVID, you couldn't see anybody during that Thanksgiving. You're isolated in a room, probably separated from your family at that point.
Well, I remember last year's episode, we did not think we'd still be going through this come this Thanksgiving.
That was the hope.
Yeah. But yet we're still dealing with it.
So
probably heard some ask if I'm agitated. I'm not. I don't know.
It's just your face. Your face looks agitated.
It's just my face.
It's your eyebrows. It's just try to raise them.
It's RBF.
They're at
RBF.
We call them the Dalton. They're at that Dalton angle.
Andy Dalton. I'm ready for the Dalton era, honestly.
The red rocket arrows.
No, Bobby, I'm not agitated. I'm just listening.
All right. What is the question, Steve?
I mean, you were answering it. I mean,
no,
what do you want to be?
Jumped in after I actually.
I mean,
what do you want to be
introducing?
To be what I want to be thankful for is to what I've.
So we can start with what we're thankful for, and I think you kind of did.
Yeah. So I guess what you want to be thankful for is what we have gotten through these past couple of years. That hopefully we've learned something over these past couple of years. The importance of friends, the importance of family, the importance of being in person versus. Zoom was great. And, there was a time where people were doing house party and things like that, or doing more like group chats and stuff like that online. But there is something, especially in my world, which is sales, there's something different about being in front of a person versus being it online.
Yeah.
So, I know that there's a metaverse coming along, and they're trying to make the world Facebook.
Oh, I thought you were talking about multiverse.
They're trying to make the world more digital, more away. And if I've learned anything, I've learned that it's nice to have friends and to be in a social community online and Zoom and things along those lines. But there's nothing that compares to the in-person relationships, by seeing someone's face, by giving someone a hug, by actually like viewing their facial expressions. There's nothing that compares to that.
So I think what I got from what you're saying there is I really kind of attached to the part of that where you were talking about what I called best practices. You said hopefully we would learn something from it, and you feel like really quickly we didn't, and we're at this point. I agree that we should, through all the COVID pandemic, the lingering at this point COVID pandemic. And, Ray's, and I always appreciate Ray's different viewpoint. He says, because he is born in the UK, he lived in the US for a while. He's lived in other countries. Now he's in Vietnam. And he says, I'd be thankful if the people of the USA could stop navigating to their own particular biases and start moving toward a truly united way of life. This division just can't continue at its current rate. Kind of an open statement there. But I think the best practices is you're starting to see it. I think that, yes, you can do it. With the last year or so, you could do holidays apart. You could do business meetings. You could do sales call. The reason that this hasn't happened before, where we were able to shut down the world like this, is because when when we were figuring out what was going on with something like a COVID-19, when you had the doctors that were being consulted on this saying that we don't know what it is, that's how this started. And then it went to the rest of the world as far as, hey, look, 10 years ago when we had our last big variation of the flu that was threatening things, you didn't have video calls all over the place. You didn't have a phone or an iPad that you could do this from anywhere. You couldn't work remotely. You couldn't shut down the world remotely because these things didn't exist at the time. Even 10 years ago, you couldn't have shut it down. Amazon was not delivering every goddamn thing to your house. That's the thing that people forget, is that part of this is that we learned a lot about
to be able to adapt to the situation.
You can adapt to it because we have the capability of it. What you're seeing now, I hope, what I want to see is the best practices is that people want to get together. They want to get out. They can't because for the first time in human history, we literally said we have the technology to say you can have no interaction with other people physically. And that is, I think, what has not worked as far as what you were saying with what have we learned. We've learned as a group, a lot of people, not everyone. And that's where I look at the comment from Ray about the United Way of Life. Again, human history, there's never a country that just all agrees on everything. It's just that doesn't happen. And that's where we're at right now. But I think there was a lot of overcorrection when it came to the unknowingness part. I'm not even getting into the political stuff, but the unknowingness of what COVID-19 is. But as I've had interactions with a lot of people, because I never stopped going out, I never stopped working, I never stopped doing that, I kind of went along with the ride of it. But on the other side of it, everyone's now getting together.
So you went to a hockey game.
Yes.
Okay. I've been to a couple the crew games, new stadium, highly suggested.
Yes.
Did you have a higher appreciation for going to the game than you would have, like, hey, it's been a couple years, or was it, hey, this is like, I've been to games before, this is fun, it's a good experience, stuff like that?
I was happy to be back. I mean, again, I don't want to get into COVID talk as much tonight.
No,
but
just your experience. Did you enjoy the experience more? Because the experience was like, we talked about Ohio State versus Michigan. They didn't play last year because members of the Michigan football team had COVID issues, or what Ohio State's saying is that they dodged them. But that did not exist last year. That was a yearly tradition that didn't happen. So in Nate or in Steve's experience, like, have you had experiences where like, shit, like I missed it. Like I've been to a concert, been to a game, and now I appreciate this more because I didn't have it at all.
There was an appreciation. Again, my viewpoint is a little different because, you talk about like 2020 and 2021 being a blur. 2020 was not a blur to me. 2021 was, because it was just kind of things were falling back into place. 2020 for me, it was a big adaptation, but I never stopped leaving the house. I never stopped working. I never stopped doing all the things that most people and some people still aren't doing. So it's kind of like I just had a boring social life in a sense. So going to a game, going to a movie, going to these things, it's like, yeah, it feels good to be back. But it's like I was more just, and that may be what Ray is getting to. And that is, to some people are not happy with it. I mean, tomorrow I'm going to see family, and I know that I look at some of these issues differently of get-togethers and the irony and the hypocrisy that happened for a lot of the people that, they were like, there was a skit on Saturday Night Live, which I know no one really watches as much anymore.
I watch Saturday Night Live every week.
Do you?
Yeah.
The skit of Republican or not.
That was pretty good.
That was fucking hilarious.
That was pretty good.
That just showed the irony of it all. You know what I mean? Of like these statements, and then the sponsor was Orlando, where Republicans live and Democrats visit.
Still
and
true.
It was just
still
fucking hilarious because I knew a lot of people that were like, "No, we are not going out. We're being very careful.
I'm not going to Florida. Fucking Florida's nuts."
No, it was like we're only
everyone
staying in, and then they're like, but it's like, did you just come back from Florida for the second time this year? Like, well, yeah. I mean, we're very careful where we go.
Open.
We drove there.
Yeah.
We only went to restaurants we trusted. It's like, did you know the people?
Yeah. Well, that's.
Anyways,
yeah.
I think the best practices are something that we can really learn from with this. And I remember looking back at last year, the things at the time that are going on in my life, and what I think I was really striving for, I think I've achieved. That's part of this new tradition that I like to kind of impart on people here, is that when you do this, there is a reflection on what you were hoping to be thankful for a year later. Did you accomplish some of those things that you're wanting to do? what you say at the table instead of saying, I'm just thankful to be healthy and all this, like we made it and all this stuff. But if you have that kind of forward thinking of what you want to shoot to be thankful for, that is some of your you're building on some of your goals.
Yeah.
So did you do something? I didn't listen back to it, and Nate, maybe you can tell me what I said, but I remember talking
I wrote down notes,
wanting to spend more time with loved ones and changing the focus a little bit to make sure I'm supporting the people that are important in my life and putting them first. And I think I've done that.
So I'll recap, my last, what I said last year, and whether or not those came to fruition. And then I'll remind you.
Oh boy.
I know after this episode last year, like things got a little.
No, that's fine.
Which is why I hesitated about doing this when I brought up the topic a couple weeks ago.
No, not at all.
So last year for this episode, when we were talking about what do you want to be thankful for, I said two main things: look for opportunity and positivity, and then also get a new job. And thank you, Spencer. I did get a new job during the last year, still with my same company, but a different position, move up. It hasn't gone necessarily the way I've wanted it to go, but I've at least made that step.
You made a big move.
And, I'm working on that.
Don't let the results change the fact that you made the right decision.
That's a very good way to look at it.
Write that down for next year.
Remember that down.
Write that down. Remember that. But no, I mean, that was, but I also said last year, like that's one of the things I had wanted to do last year. COVID kind of threw a wrench into that because not as many places were hiring, because they were trying to just get through things last year. Obviously now, with the way the job market is, there's a lot of places that need help and need employees. It's just a matter of finding something that fits. But I did accomplish that. I believe the things that I said I wanted to be able to say today, yeah. I think during the course of last year, I did accomplish.
Good.
That's great.
What about me?
All right.
Me.
No.
Well, Steve said a lot last year.
Did he say anything about legs?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I worked out legs.
I'll do legs once,
and I accomplished that.
So one of the things, and like I said, I wrote them down. So for Steve, he wanted to have a balanced life.
Now I do. A year later, it was a rocky road here.
Yeah. Job growth at the Tinderbox.
Well, yeah, it's kind of a repeat of that a little bit with the Smoking Tent event and some of the things we're doing.
Well, and sometimes when I work on Sundays with Todd, like we'll look at the numbers of like where we are so far this year versus last year, or just this month versus
really over 2019 in the history.
Yeah. And so like sometimes we look at like what happened. We're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, things are like
the business has grown.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen by accident.
No,
we all focus on the losses, but you should focus. Appreciate
Tuesday.
the wins.
Tasty Tuesday.
Yeah.
Enjoy the wins. Enjoy the wins.
You wanted the shop to have more BS cigars because we were almost out of the gold.
Yeah. Now we've got more than enough gold coming.
Yeah.
We've actually upped the order. Brian was really big on that and to make us kind of stay more regular with that production of the gold. Silver Espinosa has been great, but we've had the rocky road with the BS gold, and now with Plasencia, we've got, instead of the normal 4,000 cigar order coming, which we do, we've got 8,000 being made, and then like half
running specials.
Stored. No.
Okay, cool.
It's just
a suggestion.
The shops, they're getting a little bit ahead of it. No, what it is now they're getting ahead of it, so that way they don't run into the issue of where for a few months we're out of our number one seller.
Supply chain.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't even a supply chain issue, but now Brian and Steve have taken steps to alleviate that issue, so that way
it's me taking the bull by the horns.
Exactly. So that way we don't run out of one of the best sellers in the shop and a cigar that a lot of people, especially the regulars, absolutely love. Another thing Steve said was podcast growth. I think with the way our listeners, our viewers, some of the new patrons having the buyjack.com,
made some strides. Now we just need you guys to continue to share it and enjoy it and tune in so we get our numbers up so we can hopefully get a bigger community just for the enjoyment of everyone.
We should get on the Joe Rogan podcast. Like, just get on it.
Can you talk to him?
I'll make some calls.
Just text him.
I'll text him. We gotta go down to Austin.
Another thing Steve said is he wanted to be able to look forward to 2022.
Which I am. Fuck, I am.
Listen more, open up, which especially at the beginning of this year, I know you definitely opened up to me and probably to Spencer as well.
And to the community, honestly. When I was going through that shit, I got a lot of people that were thankful, or at least they're being nice to me, saying they appreciate it.
No. You got people that care, man.
The old man walk started.
Yeah. Get more out of it.
I don't know what that means.
Life?
Whatever
Was
it was.
at that point in the show?
Not yet.
Okay. Actually, I don't think I got drunk on that show.
Be there for people more, which I think you have been.
I appreciate that.
And then the other one,
report card here.
and the other one that you can answer, say yes more.
I'd say a little bit.
That's a no.
Hey.
Too soon. Those are good things, man.
No, I'd say, I mean, like just something as Ray Cheshire fitting. Stay clear of Joe Rogan. He's a dick.
He's got more podcast listeners than you, Ray.
Whoa.
Right.
Whoa.
I didn't mean to make it personal, Ray. I'm sorry.
Ryan Jones also said you have Tony to be thankful for.
I do have Tony to be thankful for, and that was opening myself up, saying yes to things. It's like getting a dog by myself, and I was happy to do that.
And you and I had a lot of conversations about that as well.
We did, yeah. Spencer and I did too, as well.
I said, don't get a dog. Don't get a dog. And I was like, oh, that's a great dog.
Same here. Same here.
It's too soon. Oh,
But
I'm glad you got the dog.
Oh, he's so cute.
All right, yeah,
do you
great
think-
walk. Great walk.
Do you think over the course of the last 12 months, Steve, that you've been a little bit more of a yes man?
Not a yes man. I don't want to say that because I don't like that. I don't like that mentality of all you do is say yes. I don't.
No. But
Good
have you
movie.
said
Great movie.
have you said yes to more?
When I say yes, it's more being open to more things, and these are sometimes smaller. I think before that podcast, one of the things that I made a decision to do, even though at that time my ex was not as for it, and Ray's listening, he was a big proponent of, is like getting like an addition to the house, like with the patio. Like that was something I was very hesitant, very nervous about, and I did it. I'm happy I did it, especially all things considered. Happy I did it because that was a great addition for me to enjoy and friends to enjoy and hopefully family to enjoy. Spencer was talking about that, we met up and watched football. Well, it wasn't my normal group because like we used to watch football together on Sundays. These are small things, but sometimes those things they get you thinking differently and open yourself up to new experiences. Is that, there's a couple weeks where, it's like, God, no one wants to go watch football or they're busy or whatever. And I want to watch the Bears. So I'll just go to a bar and, sit down and invite people. If they show up, they show up. And I met some new people and that's who Spencer met up with me. And we had been talking and they were meeting up. None of my other old football friends were meeting up. So I went out with them and Spencer came out and we had a great time. I mean, it's just little things like that. Open yourself up to saying yes to going out. And sometimes saying yes is saying yes to yourself when you're like, should I do it or should I just stay home? Should I do this? Or
if you show up to things with the right mindset, you're going to have a positive experience.
Yeah.
You shouldn't just show up to things if you know you're going to be miserable and things like that.
Right.
But if you just show up and not say yes to everything, but say yes more than you say no, you'll have a better life experience than if you just stayed at home on the couch and doing what you normally do.
Yeah, I joined a different gym this last year.
You and I went to Louisville together.
We took a trip to Louisville together.
I just tried the best tequila Louisville has to offer.
Yeah, we did have a lot of
Guys.
tequila that
Good work,
trip.
guys.
So
Just
Bourbon and BS and Bourbon and Blondes. Enjoying tequila in Louisville.
Yeah,
very little bourbon.
over the course of this year, Jess and I took our first true vacation that we've had since our honeymoon.
About
Yeah.
time,
I
dude.
know.
About time.
All right. Because normally whenever we would take a vacation, like it was always specifically to do something. Like there was an event we
Yeah.
were going to.
A
Or-
wedding or something like that.
No, so every year we were going down to Lexington for it was called the Rolex 3-day horse show. Now it's called the Land Rover 3-day horse show, but it was a horse show. We were going down there for 3 days specifically to go to a horse show every single day. It was an eventing show, so there's a different event every single day. But it was always these, little 3-day or 4-day weekend type things. I've always been one that I didn't take a whole lot of vacation because of the responsibilities that I had with work. And, this was one of those where I was like, you know what? I need to take the time, screw it. And we both took off the same week. So that way we could actually go and do something for us.
Yeah.
That's great.
And it was something that, the two of us hadn't done in a while.
Would you do it more often now that you did it?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Because I also think we're in a better position to do that now than what we had been in previous years in our marriage. Like, we're in a better position to be able to take trips like that.
That's good.
And not have to worry about it.
That's good. So, Spencer, what are you thankful for? Let's start with that. What are you thankful for since you weren't on the podcast last year? Because I'll say that, yes, I'm thankful for Shannon.
Shannon was on the podcast last year.
I'm thankful for Shannon.
But
we're all thankful for Shannon.
I
speak for the whole Bourbon and BS community that we're all thankful for Shannon.
But I also have notes written down from what Shannon said he wanted to be thankful for.
Before you get, he just sat down, man.
I know.
Let him kind of.
No.
We got the time. We got the time.
You, Spencer, what are you thankful for?
Well,
let's start with that, and then this will bring into part two of part two.
So
is where
what am I going to be thankful for?
No. What are you
am I
thankful
currently
for? That's what I said. I think
okay.
there's both sides of it are very useful to each individual.
So I am currently thankful for, and I knew it was just going to be you and Nate on the podcast this week, and then we had some beers on Sunday,
you could say
watch a little football, and I was like, hey, what do you
as you're leaving, you're like, so you
need a guy?
I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then,
Spencer just talked his way in.
No, and then I think it was Tuesday, he texted me. He's like, so, I mean, did you need me on the podcast?
I'm pretty sure you said it starts at 7 is what is my
Never
latest text.
It hasn't started at 7 since
be here by 7.
Yeah,
be here by
right.
7. So what I'm thankful for that we're getting closer to what life used to be, and go ahead
to comment on that
sure.
Someone said who it was it but the new normal.
Joseph Chomak. We have a new normal.
We have a new normal. Do you think it's a new normal, or is it going back?
I don't think it's a new normal.
Okay.
So
That's I think a valid point.
I'm in sales, but I also my girlfriend's a financial advisor, and I'm in the car a lot. So I listen to this podcast a lot. I listen to a lot of other podcasts. I listen to a lot of financial podcasts, just so I kind of know what's going on in the world and kind of want my money to do something with it. And what they found recently is that all the stocks that were dealing with the new normal, what people thought the new normal was going to be, the Zooms, the Pelotons, the anything that was work from home have pretty much crashed this past year.
Yeah, they leveled back down.
No, not leveled back down, fallen back.
Okay.
Meteoric fails. I mean, they're way higher than they were before the pandemic. But like a Peloton, hey, you're going to work out from home. You're going to be on your bike and you're going to work out from home the whole time. Zoom, this is going to be how you're going to have all your meetings. They have plummeted down, close to 50% over the past year because everyone thought that this was going to be new normal. And yes, people can work from home more and things like that. But I still think that
I think some people made their nut on it too, though.
People made their nut on it and people made money. But my point is that if everyone thought that they're going to work out from home all the time and work from home, and there's definitely a balance, there's definitely a correction that we don't have to be in the office, 5 days a week. Maybe you're in the office 1 or 2 days a week, things like that.
Depending on the job.
But the new normal is we are adjusting to having the right balance between those things.
Well,
but us as human beings still need to have that personal experience. And Nate, I know you're at home most days, 5 days.
Yeah. Next Tuesday will be the first day I go back into an office.
Oh, wow.
Since the beginning of March last year.
So,
and it's a different office. They closed down my old office.
But still the principle.
But it's going to be the first time and it's only 1 day a week to start with. But it's going to be the first time I've seen coworkers in an office setting in almost 2 years.
And that you're not unique with that situation. Other people have gone back earlier, but everyone's starting to adjust to go back. But I guarantee your interactions that you have with the people are going to be more impactful by having that face-to-face versus people being able to hide from email and things like that.
The company actually sent out an email this week, company-wide, about how to interact with coworkers in an office setting, because it's been so long since so many people in our company have actually been in an office. They had to send out a reminder of how to interact with people. But I thought it was also interesting,
which is sad.
I thought it was also interesting some of the stuff over the course of this year, when some offices actually did start opening up and people were supposed to go back to work. The number of people, so prior to March of 2020, just about everybody that was working in an office setting. Everyone had to go to anyone that had a corporate office job was working in an office. They weren't all working remote. And people got so comfortable and used to that this year, when companies started having employees coming back into the office, I was amazed at the percentage of people that said they would look for a new job because their current employer was going to have them come back into the office. It's like, well, you were going into the office a year ago.
But they got a taste of the nectar.
Yeah.
They got a taste of not having to put pants on. They got a taste of being able to wear a robe to work. And, we have Steve and I have a couple buddies that are in recruiting.
Yeah.
And they recruit these kids out of college. And they either, they make sales calls and emails, and they basically hammer phones. And those kids are wanting to work from home. Now, we all think that we're more productive at home because it's more convenient. But there's a reason that we have these offices and stuff like that. It's not as fun to be there. You don't have as much freedom. But there's a reason why there are these offices, because, some people can be very productive away from there, but not everyone can be as productive without having to be as micromanaged.
Well, I think, micromanaged, but I think management in general, just as a comment on that, we can get back on task a little bit. But I think, that was one of those things that even as it was happening, and I was talking to some people that said, oh, yeah, everyone can work from home. I'm like, you try hiring from home. You try, doing this where you never meet that person. You just all video. You try to discipline an employee based on their performance, and you really are just going off of numbers. And you don't have anything other than, like, you need to know, as someone, at least from my experience before being in the cigar world, I managed a lot of different people. I fired a lot of people, and it was something that you need to have a personal connection. I'm sorry if that sounds old school, but I think, to your point, Spencer, it has shown that all of those things where everyone thought it would be easy to do, and for a short period of time it might be, but to have super growth, like with you in sales, you can do it remotely for a while, for a finite time. I don't think this is the end all be all for most professionals.
It's going to be a compromise. It's going to be somewhere in between the two. And, the smart people will figure out a way to work from home. And because that is a better quality of life, especially if you have kids and things like that.
And for some companies, it's a lower overhead.
Yeah. For lower overhead and stuff like that, but it's just going to change. So,
well, I'll say this also is that one of the comments that I made earlier before we get back on that is I think that it was very much neglected by a vast majority of people when they said everyone can work from home, except for the people that are delivering packages to them, except for the post office workers, except for the UPS workers, except
retail,
for the DoorDash people,
except for the barbers, except for the service industry, except for all this stuff. It was a very closed
essential workers. It got pretty wide there, right?
But they didn't, they said that because that allowed certain people, but the people work from home, they don't fucking care about those people. As long as they get their shit, they didn't care. They didn't. They don't. Yeah. They literally don't. We get it in the cigar world. We got it for a while. Like, why don't you have that? It's like, and I can tell you firsthand, this is the closed-mindedness of some people, is that when you tell them, you're like, well, in Honduras, Nicaragua, and Dominican Republic, like they had to, because these are all reputable business people typically they're manufacturing the major cigars that we smoke. They looked after their people, whether or not the government did. A couple of countries did, one of them didn't. But it's one of those things where it's like, no, they had to shut down for COVID. They had to do limited people on the floor rolling cigars. And the light bulb that turned on some people, they're like, really? I'm like, Oh my God, you fucking self-centered American prick.
Well,
Jesus fucking Christ. I'm sorry, you can't roll a cigar on a fucking computer from your fucking
COVID
townhouse.
was only an
All
American problem.
Well,
Steve.
it's not just that. So,
No, not in America. I mean, this
No,
is
I'm
all over the world.
Right.
I mean,
So
people like the
it's-
mentality is like,
it's-
you can do this. It's like, no, you can't.
Right.
Who are you going to call to move your fucking
yeah,
furniture?
who you going to call to
Go
to make the chickens at the Tyson factory? In my world, we do cabinets. So
Yeah.
if there's someone gets
You
COVID at
can't
the
do that on the
factory,
computer?
someone gets COVID at the factory, who are they making it next to? It's a whole thing. I feel like we're off topic here.
I was saying, I was going to comment on that and then get back on topic
Okay.
a little bit.
I would also like to apologize to Ray.
For
If
which part, Joe
Just
Rogan?
in general. I feel like I've been tough on Ray these past couple of times, and I feel like if we met in
Set up a
person,
Zoom call.
we'd be good buddies. And I like contrary points of views. Not that I don't agree with everything he says, but I would just like to apologize if anything I've said over the past 15 plus times has
wow,
said it.
COVID was only an American problem. There goes that ego. I quickly correct.
I'd like
you
to
there,
take
Ray.
away
Yeah.
my apology.
All right.
That's why I made that joke, right?
Bring Shannon into it then. All right. Are you comfortable? You ready? You want to grab a mic there between Sean's legs, apparently?
Oh, all right. So
Want to grab a
Shannon,
pickup?
I'm going to recap you. Last year we had you on remotely for this podcast. You talked about what you wanted to accomplish in 2021 prior to us getting together today. And you said career growth, so growing in your job as a barber, so learning more, being a better barber, stuff like that. And then also, well, actually, you had two more. One, you had a goal last year.
Yep.
And I've talked to you on this during the course of the last year, and I know it's something that you've actually been pursuing, and that's your goal of having your own shop, your own barber shop.
Yeah, so the first one, I've absolutely grown in skill set. Am I on?
You're on. You're just not as loud as Sean, so I got to change
I
the
got you.
volume of the slider.
So
Bless
yeah,
you.
absolutely grown in my skill set and in my clientele to the point where I'm booked out every day right now. It's been amazing. I love my clients. And then two, on the personal goal of a barbershop, it's actually in talks.
There you go.
Well, and
I've
then
already
I'm gonna-
had my first meeting, and I go back on, I think it's 12/6 for the second meeting. I'm taking my wife with me on that one. They want to meet us both and see if we're both on the same page, if our goals are the same, and it's moving along nicely.
Nice.
Well, and that ties into the third thing. And I think based on the three that you said last year, I think this one, I'm going to argue, is the most important, to grow with your wife.
I'm gonna argue that.
Absolutely. What's that?
I don't think he has to argue that.
No, that's why I said
Oh,
I don't.
no.
Yeah, I don't think I have to. I don't have to argue that that's the most
Right.
important of the three.
No, it's been amazing. I mean, as of tomorrow, we're leaving. Instead of doing the normal Thanksgiving sit down Friendsgiving thing, we're actually taking off for 5 days and going camping. And
No, not you guys.
oh, no, not us.
Hey, you would never go
We'd
camping.
never do that. So that's why I was here late packing the truck. But we'll be down in the Carolinas, North and South Carolina. And Sean, I'm going to hit you up. I think we're coming through your town, buddy. Might stop and say hi.
Awesome.
Sean.
Or
Sean Anderson.
yeah, Sean Anderson.
Nice.
Yeah, I think we're coming straight through his town because we're going down to Linville, North Carolina first.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, and so thank you for sharing that. I'm going to throw to you, Steve, something Ray said on this podcast last year for this episode.
Okay.
So yes, Ray, I listened to what you said too. Would others be thankful for your participation in their life?
Whew.
You're throwing that back to me?
All of us. I mean, it's
said
open.
me.
It's open to anyone. Spencer was away from the mic at the time, so that's why I'm trying to keep the conversation going with you, Steve. Ray had asked, would others be thankful for your participation?
It's a
in
good
their
question.
Well, I say just in terms of the podcast and the audience out there, including Ray, a year later, whether they're thankful or they consider themselves thankful for it. We have some new listeners. We have some listeners that have been with us through that transition, right? And through this last year, and they still listen every week. And whether they, like Ray, love him to death, and it's always a positive, in a sense, critique, and not saying what he says is always like a positive or negative, but it's just like it's there. It's constructive. It's part of the conversation. So I would say at least what we're doing here, what I've done, and what Nate you've done. Spencer's been a part of this. Sean, Shannon in the garage, Ray. Mentioned Sean Anderson as well, Cindy and Lou, that donating those bottles. We're doing something. That's where it's not a greedy thing. I know we've had some of the bourbon pages over the last few years say, all you're trying to do is boost your ratings. We're trying to bring the community of what the whiskey world is when you're sitting with people, if you invite them over to the house and do that. We've tried to model this podcast after that mentality, where it's not just listening to us. Hopefully you get something from us, but the whole point of sharing this and getting people, if you're local, you stop by the garage. I know Greg Sanston was going to do that. He's a supporter of the podcast as well. He was going to come over. He didn't show up. And I know right now he's going through some shit that I would love to have him, be here just to hang out with the guys and the girls. And Jody Jacks started coming to a couple of the shows. We've had some other people come to the shows, guys and girls, to the actual garage physically. And then we also had other people like Ryan Jones, part of the community. He's commenting more tonight than he has in the past, and even said that he hasn't commented as much, but he's been going through a lot of stuff too. Is that I think that hopefully it's not about giving the conversation, yes, being thankful, but it's about the opening yourself up to realizing what you're appreciating other people doing for you, whether it's directed at you or it's just what they do with their time, so that there is a benefit to whether it's yourself or you can appreciate the benefit that they're doing for other people. It's
also the consistency, right?
There's a consistency.
Someone, the members of the community and the other people that listen know that this is airing, every Wednesday, 7:30, 8 o'clock. Yep. So whether they haven't listened for a couple weeks or listen every week or haven't listened for several months, they know that they got a place to go to.
Yeah.
And if they can't make it, they know that it's on iTunes, or they can catch it on Facebook or YouTube and things like that. So I think having the consistency makes a big difference. And, having Jody in the garage, a couple weeks ago, you could look in her eyes and in her comments, and, you weren't doing anything specific for her.
Right.
But whatever you've been doing over these past couple of years has made an impact subliminally on the world. And not too many people do that at all in their days. And this is something that you started off with, hey, I want to hang out with my buddies. I want to try bourbon. I want to try cigars. I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's turned into something completely that you couldn't have predicted 3 years ago.
No, in fact, it was funny. You even heard the comment at the bar watching football that, someone was started watching the podcast.
Oh, our fans?
The fans. They recognized Spencer from the show because they
said that Hugh Jackman.
That Hugh Jackman looking motherfucker. No, but and then she actually said, like a lot of people, like Jody was saying, that the part 2 is cool that it got into it because of the bourbon and cigars, but it's yeah. So I'll put it up on the screen. But it we had that from someone that's listening tonight also. Let's see, there's Jody there. I've expressed it before. I'm so thankful for the conversations in the garage. Great topics that give me a lot to think about. And we've talked about that. That is the whole model. You know what I mean? You can do on the bourbon pages. It's always fun to see what other people are getting, right? You know what I mean? But once you're in it long enough that you're like, okay, cool. Yeah. You
got that baseball card. You got that cool Pokemon card.
There's a guy in the bourbon BS community. I'm sure he's part of other bourbon pages, but Freddie Burt, who's also been into the shop in Columbus, Ohio. A little bit of a drive for him, but he's both. He's part of the conversation, and then he's also doing the cross shots or like the hauls that day on his counter. Where it's like,
I don't think he's bragging though.
He's not, but but my point is, I like the mix of it. I like the hybrid of actual conversation more than just I got this bottle and I hope you guys appreciate it type thing. You know what I mean? Or there are certain people. I'm not talking about Freddie, but there's other people in some of these bourbon pages that it's like, look what I got that you don't have. You know what I mean? It's like that's good to a point that stuff's out there. People are asking, how'd you get it? Or you have an extra bottle? I can buy it from you, whatever it is. But it's the conversation that comes from hanging out with people smoking cigars, drinking
alone's
whiskey.
not nearly as fun as drinking a bottle with
It can
somebody
be.
else.
It
No,
can be.
well, all
It's
right.
like singing in the shower.
It's well,
That's
if you're
a little
singing with
different.
someone else in the shower, I guarantee that's more fun.
It is more fun.
There you go.
Or having someone sing to you.
I got a sauna. It fits 2 people comfortably.
I know.
4 people very comfortably.
2 seats, 4 people, all the heat.
It's a good time.
It's a dry heat.
I love dry heat.
Well, and to piggyback off of what Ray
Spencer said.
to piggyback off of what Ray had said last year,
Thank you, man.
and when I say this, I don't say this from a place of ego, but I hope, Steve, that with everything that has gone on with your life since this episode last year,
Yeah.
I hope you can look back and say that you're thankful that I've
100%.
been there for you or with you during this.
You and Spencer
Again,
are
I
both
don't
actually-
say this from a place of ego.
No,
It's not
don't-
ego.
there's no
You're a
disclaimer
good
here.
friend.
There's
It's just
no
being a
disclaimer.
good friend.
Just
It's being
talk.
there where someone needs them.
Yeah, I mean, like, between the 2 of you guys on the podcast right now, that's a very convenient thing that it is Nate and Spencer on here. Is that, yeah, I mean, after this episode last year, I went through a breakup. I went through a lot of changes in my life with that, and I will say, with a support system, part of that was being open with people and not just taking it on all myself, but with that support, then projecting it into my own life, trying to turn a bad situation into a almost forced sense of growth at first. And then that became a self-fulfilled prophecy that it did work out, as opposed to just burying yourself in that. I refuse to do that.
It's
I
good
did
when you go
struggle.
through shit. It's good
Yeah.
to have a community to go through shit with. It's just whether it's church, whether it's sports, whether it's anything, whether it's this community that you forged out of nothing. You got 1,500, 2,000, 3,000, whatever the number is, of people that are part of rooting for each other versus rooting against each other. There's something about bourbon, and there's even more about cigars. So you went to a cigar shop when you were in Nashville.
Wait, before you say that,
Yeah.
can I comment on that?
Sure,
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
it's your show.
Thanks.
Thanks for reminding me.
So it's Greg Sanson's watching. Hey, Greg, we were hoping you were coming to the garage tonight. I hope you're doing well. Hopefully get you in next week.
Nice to meet you the other day, by the way.
Yeah.
You love Pink Floyd.
But no, Ray actually commented on Jody's thing where I read it, about that she's expressed it before, and she's thankful for the conversations. He said, and also give you the opportunity to talk about them. And that's something with the podcast. Yes, we go down some rabbit holes when we're sitting here, we're having some drinks, and the conversation turns to COVID, turns to politics, whatever it might be. And we do dabble a little bit too far sometimes, but we also don't make it a point to be that is the topic necessarily. And then on the community page and on the Bourbon and BS, friendships that have been made, which, all you guys have talked to, most of you guys have talked to Ray or Orion, or, like Shannon has actually hung out with, gone and visited Bobby Hirschman, who, through the cigar community, through the Bourbon and BS community page. We haven't really introduced that, and I've watched it, and Nate's helped a little bit on that as well. Other people have helped a little bit when people start trying to sell secondary bottles. They start trying to introduce like a topic that you're like, no, that's not the place for this.
Or we bring the Bobby Hirschman to, an Amy's pub,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
And Amy, I know you probably aren't listening tonight because you're busy, but for those that are out there that watch the episodes with Amy Schertzinger and McClellan's Pub, which is kind of another kind of side home base for some of the community when they're in town. They did have a break-in yesterday, so everyone's safe. There's no one there or whatever, and it doesn't sound like the damage was too severe. But our best to her on, especially on a holiday weekend. That's not a good time to deal with that. Never a good time to deal with it. But I will say that, some of those comments, like Ray saying, the opportunity to talk about these things is something that we've tried to establish, where, again, this is now a new tradition. I hope you guys do this with your own families or whoever you're gathering with tomorrow, is that when someone introduces it, maybe you have that person in the family, or maybe you're that person that says, let's go around the table real quick, if people pray or whatever they do, but let's go around the table and say, at least one thing we're thankful for is possibly bring up the thing and say, well, can I add to that and say, let's say one thing we're thankful for and one thing we want to be thankful for next year when we get back to this table? Because I think that does actually change. You'll see a lot of kind of mystified looks around the table that they're going to be like, what do you mean? And you're like, well, and you can bring it up like, well, part of this community that they actually now look at, they try to forecast in a sense and say, I want a goal that I want to be thankful for. And it's not these finite things like what you were saying, Nate, to Shannon. One of the things is you want to maybe start your own business in the field you're in. That doesn't necessarily mean that in the next 12 months between now and next Thanksgiving that you will have a thriving business.
Yeah.
You said it. Have you made at least one step towards it?
Absolutely.
And if not, or if you say you did,
Hold
but then it
yourself
fell to
accountable.
the wayside, whether it's your own efforts or some like obstacles that are out of your control, are you still working on it? Or do you need to be reminded that a year ago you said you wanted to be thankful for it? Are you thankful for that one step? Are you thankful for the progress you're still making? I think this is a mindset that can be shared to family and friends that don't necessarily think like this.
Refocus.
You're
And
welcome.
that's
Shannon.
part of it. And I think if you get together now that, we're back to what some people call the new normal or the old normal, is that you have this where hopefully you meet again next Thanksgiving with your family or friends or whoever it is, or at least you touch base with them. And it's almost, again, it's holding yourself accountable. But once you make that statement, you may not wait until next Thanksgiving to refocus on yourself or have your close relatives or friends or just people around you that you made that statement to, that they might 4 months, 6 months down the road, halfway through the year, they actually were impacted what you said. And now they're saying, hey, I want to drop a quick line. You said, to Shannon's example, I think this is a great example. You said you were trying to really focus on, opening up your own business and all that stuff. And before you get to the 12-month check mark, they say, not calling you out, but have you done anything with that? The answer might be for a lot of people like, shit, no, I haven't. Thank you for reminding me.
And also there was a time
Or
where
it's, yes, I have. Here's where I'm at. This is where I'm going. And they're just going to be like, keep up the good work. Let me know if I can do anything. But I mean, there's this constant level of when you have a community around you and you're actually communicating these things about what you want to be thankful for next year, that you have people that when you say that, it's not just be like, okay, cool, let me talk about what I want to be thankful for next year. It actually hits home to at least a small percentage of the people around you when you're saying those things. Nate, going back and listening to last year's episode, I thank you very much, because that in itself and that effort is very impactful to Shannon, to myself. I'm sure if Dustin was a part of this, he probably said his things as well, and you may have been able to remind him of those things.
His two were, he was looking forward to getting married this year, because last year,
Which he did that. Good job.
last year he was supposed to have his wedding 2 months after all the shutdown and everything happened, so their wedding venue and everything got canceled, so it got pushed back to 2021. So he was looking forward to actually
It's a great wedding.
being married, even though him and his wife were living together at the time. He was looking forward to being married.
Yeah.
But then also his daughter, he was going to strive to have a better, closer relationship with her.
So
And
back on here.
And I think he may still be listening, he may not, but maybe he'll go back and listen to this. But hopefully with that job change that he had this year, hopefully that has provided him the opportunity to be able to have a closer relationship with his daughter.
From what I know, it has, and he
Good.
only just says he's sorry he can't be around the podcast as much. Ryan Jones,
family,
to you,
dude.
Ryan says, he can remember what I went through that split and felt like he checked in a lot, which he did. Sorry, he hasn't been a better friend and reached out more. That's the thing about it, is that it's, you never know. And now a year later, he's hearing about this, and it's like, well, maybe. And not talking about Ryan and myself, but when someone's going through some stuff, well, you check in for a while. And then if you don't hear any of they're not reaching out to you anymore, you're either assume it's good or you get consumed with it. I think it's a good reminder as well to be conscious of what other people are saying when they look forward, what they're trying to go through. You know what I mean? Like Spencer and I, Nate, I see you, several times a week because we work together. We do the podcast every week. Spencer's on it a lot, but even again, I bring up that Sunday interaction with us when we were trying to explain to people that have never met you and that I just met, and they're just like, well, how do you guys know each other? And it's like, to explain that, you're just like, huh, well, we've known each other for like 10 years at least. We don't really know how long. And then it's like, well, we kind of touch base at least every month, maybe every other month if things are busy. And when we do, it does bring up some of those things. How you doing with this? How you doing with that? How's business? How's your relationship? How are these things that you don't necessarily, when you're in the thick of it, you have to talk about all the time. You know, when you're going around the whole Thanksgiving thing, the fact that a lot of people, most people probably go around the table at the very least and say, what are they thankful for this last year? There's another 12 months or another 11 months out of the year that you don't sit around that table with your family or friends and do the same thing.
It's a good holiday, man. It's, you know, besides all the you know, how what it actually
it's taken some shit over the last
what's
decade.
actually happened, but you know, it's kind of taken a turn as to, you know, you get what you get out of every holiday. You know, obviously, you know, Christmas, Hanukkah, all that stuff's been, you know, more commercialized, and Thanksgiving's been, you know, but I feel like if you take it for, all right, besides the Pilgrims and the Indians, you know, which isn't I can't say Pilgrims.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you take, you know, the lessons that you want by when you go around the table, you know, it's the one time a year where hopefully you get to be around family and friends, maybe not all your family, maybe not all your friends, but it's also a chance for you to, you know, reset, remind yourself, you know, what's important to you. And it's just a day that it's tough to have a bad Thanksgiving. It just is. If you take it for, what are you thankful for? And what are you thankful for next year? I do like that was part of the topic. For next year.
Yeah, let's hear it. What do you got?
You know, it's based upon future events, right? For me personally, I took it.
It's a hope. It is
right.
a hope. It's what when I say the topic, literally on the page is, what do you want to be thankful for next year? There is a level of you hope, or what are your goals? Obviously,
yeah.
You know, it's again, like if you say like, next Thanksgiving, I want to be thankful that I won the lottery. Cool. Like, put it on your dream board.
Yours were more actions or emotions or things like that, or stuff that you personally wanted to accomplish and make yourself a better version of Steve.
Well, I kind of relate this topic to recently when we had the what if topic.
I like that one.
That was a good one. Yeah.
So when we put that topic out there of what if, there were some people that when they hear the what if question, they think past.
What was?
And then there's other people.
What if I would have done something?
Exactly. Like,
or what if I do something?
10 years ago, what if I would have done this? And that can really bog people down.
Yeah.
What I tried to introduce to that was going forward.
Yeah.
And I think that's what this kind of ties into, is the going forward. What if this happens? What if this opportunity happens? Like, try and have the more forward approach and forward mindset to the topic.
I know, Sean, you want to comment here, but I love the comments coming in on the page as well, on the feed. But I do want to say, we've talked about it before. We do broadcast this live on Facebook, but one of the things that's been a topic is Facebook memories.
Miss them.
You miss them?
Yeah, because I don't check in any place anymore.
So that's my point.
So
right?
it's like I get these memories from 2013, 2014 that we had this dinner, we had Louis, we had this stuff, and we don't do that at all anymore. Whether it's not because you think someone's going to rob your house if you check in at this place, or if it's just it's no longer cool to check in. But that was
it's cool to see, right?
That is cool to see now.
That's my point. So
Steve's are all gym check-ins.
No,
and honestly, no, it's
you're not wrong.
Well, that's one of the things that I know made an impact on other people and made an impact on my life is doing the gym check-ins. I did it again today, before the podcast. And
how many memories do you get a day?
Honestly, so like it's
one a week or so.
No, it's like depending, honestly. So it's 2021. So normally every day I'll get like one from either each of the last decade, like one from each of the decade, depending on what was going on that day, or sometimes it'll be like 2019, 2017, whatever it is. But I do enjoy seeing, like you're bringing up, Spencer, is some of the BS memories. Like when we first launched it, we had a dinner on that, and, you know, the gentleman's dinner that Spencer and I used to do with some other guys, you know, because we made a point to go out and do this. And at that time, Facebook was something that we were doing a little bit more as a group. I still do it. It would fade after time, but it's like even this morning I took a walk with Tony, right? And I didn't take a picture. I didn't put it on my Instagram story. If I do that long enough right now, and we've talked about it on the podcast, if I don't do it because I've made a precedent, and there are a lot of Facebook or Instagram stalkers out there, and I say that they don't post anything, but they look every day. Like Spencer is one of those Instagram stalkers that I'll look. I'm not saying stalker like you.
Can we edit this?
No.
What was the
What
Chris
was the question?
Hansen? Chris Hansen? Dateline?
To Catch a Predator?
I met him once, and we'll never meet him again.
Legally. No, but I mean, it's one of those things. I can see people that see my Instagram stories, or they comment, or they like a Facebook check-in or like whatever it is. If I don't do something for a while, like at one point I mentioned the fact that doing those walks, taking those pictures, some people will comment that the view I took was great. Or at that time, you guys were talking about, Nate, you know, when after the split after this episode last year, as soon as I started doing those old man walks, I had people that I hadn't talked to in a long time that literally came up to me. I don't know if they were just trying to support me, but the comments weren't like, hey, how's everything going? The comments were literally like, I really appreciate the words you're putting out there. You know, it was the Jody Jacks out there that were, you know,
It's the private comments. It's
the private comments that they're, you know, but if you stop doing that, they're going to be fine. You're going to be fine, hopefully. But it's like, it's all about communication. And I will say the best practices that we could have taken out of the last 2 years is something that put yourself out there still. This is not a new lesson, but this is something that we have a way to do this. The fact that we do a weekly podcast, we stopped doing this. There's going to be a few people that are like, hey, why aren't you doing it anymore? You tell them the reason. It sucks. I watch every week, like a Ray Cheshire or something like that. 6 months from now, they're not going to think about it. You know what I mean? But the fact you keep doing that, you keep putting yourself out there, that's a healthy exercise for you. I think that is the reason that social media was put out there. That's the best practice.
Well, I remember back when
What was that, Spencer?
I was just saying, why do you think social media was put out there?
It was because we are a social creature that we now have the technology to put that out there. You know, posting every meal you eat or whatever, like, I think it's digressed a little bit. Like, you know, when you go to like the TikTok or like now it's like Instagram Reels and all that stuff. So people doing the same dance and all that stuff. I'll get sucked in that rabbit hole if I'm bored or, you know, just sitting there and like all of a sudden I'm like, oh, Instagram Reels. I'll click on one and just next thing you know, 25 minutes passed. And I'm like, oh shit. Didn't get anything out of it, but there is a positive impact you can make on people by doing that, because it's not just entertainment, but it's also the people that actually like I said, Jody, or these people that took these gym check-ins over the years. Now I look back at it as Facebook memories. The fact that we haven't done gentlemen's dinners as often, Spencer, life gets in the way, but at the same time, when we do it, it's great.
Yeah.
And it's usually those comments that you normally would make with your friends or family. We should do this more often. It's keeping yourself in check on doing these things. So again, going back to this Thanksgiving versus next year, 2022 Thanksgiving, have you continued to put yourself out there? Have you continued to keep yourself accountable? And also on the flip side of that is those people that, you know, like Nate asking Shannon about what he did between this year and last year and this year, is do you as a person also hold other people accountable through that communication? I think that is a role that you can play in other people's lives. To your point, Nate, where you said, you know, when Ray said, do you think what you did will make other people thankful for what you're doing?
Well,
right?
Well,
how did he word that?
Would others be thankful for your participation in their lives?
So that's the point, is that are you doing things actively to do that? I'm not saying you have to. You can always just focus inward and do your thing as if social media doesn't exist. That's fine. We have a tool out there that you can communicate your efforts through that.
Well, and participating in people's lives doesn't necessarily mean that it's a one-on-one, you directly like right there doing something for that person. Sometimes you posting pictures of those walks, or I remember I think it was earlier this year when Bobby Hirschman had started that like 5 picture a day thing.
I commented on.
Yeah,
I'm the one that said it, and I didn't actually do it myself, but you guys all did, which I
yeah.
appreciate.
But like all of a sudden, that started a thing where I remember seeing that there were several people that and I was one of them that started, like even my morning walk or whatever, like sitting there taking pictures to try and get my 5 pictures a day. After a while, that kind of ended, and no one necessarily sat there and said, "Hey, where's your 5 pictures go?" It's too late to take away the podcast. But
says you can never take.
But I mean,
take the podcast away now.
Even though that 5 picture a day challenge hasn't lasted for a lot of us on the community, I think for the end of the year, did it have a positive impact in the short period of time that it was around? And I think it did. So you having a positive impact on people's lives doesn't necessarily have to be a forever long-term impact. It could just be an impact right then and there, because maybe there was someone who was listening to that episode or saw that post that they were dealing with some issues and saw that, and it was uplifting for them at that time.
Yeah, listen, like with that, like with the 5, like sometimes you take, again, going back to the best practices, or you have that mentality is that, and I was the first one to not do that after I said that night, that episode is doing, it's like Ricky Bobby's dad. I was high when I said that. You can be
I was
second,
drunk when I
you
said
can be
that.
Third, you can even be fourth. No, but you take something away from that if it's not absolutely the 5 pictures a day for the rest of your life, but you take something from that you might post here and there, a vacation picture, a nice picture of family, something that you're thankful for.
Steak and wine Sunday.
There you go, steak and wine Sunday. But I mean,
so I'd like to throw it back to Ray if he's still listening here.
He is.
Okay. So in most of my interactions, and Steve and Nate, you know me well enough to know that I try to have a good time with people. Yeah. I try to have every experience, whether it's with
I like to party.
It's not. We like to party.
We like to party.
But it's like if you have an interaction with the server, you have an interaction with the customer, you have an interaction with a friend, you have an interaction with someone that you don't know. To make that, it doesn't have to be a memorable experience, but to make it a positive experience. Yes. So
Why do you say that? I like that a lot. I know where you're going with it, but
because there's no, my grandpa always said, the glass is half empty or half full, and there's no advantage to saying that the glass is half empty. There's no advantage to that. You can only have positive experiences if you say the glass is half full. So when you have an interaction with someone, whether it's a server or a buddy, or a random acquaintance, to try to make that a positive experience. So my question, I guess, to Ray is he doing some things in his life where he wants to have a impactful impact, or does he consciously do something to make people thankful that he's around? Or is it just, hey, it was nice to have Spencer or Ray, around during that day, and next time he'll be invited to the party, or he'll be invited to watch football again, or something.
He's on the list.
Yeah, he's on the list, and you make yourself an addition to the party or to the group versus a subtraction. Over the years, I've really tried to only include people in my life that have added to my life. I see no benefit to keeping people around, and it's not a cold move. That take energy, or their energy suckers, away, just because they don't add to my life. They don't make my day better. They don't make my life better. So if I could be the same type of person that I want to hang out with, or that I want to associate with, I got a better shot of having a better day. Yeah. And if you keep stacking good days upon each other, you're going to have a better life. We all have bad days. We all have bad moments. But I think in general, we tend to focus on, I did 99 things correct today, or 99 people like what I did today, but the one person didn't? Do I focus on the one negative experience of my work, my relationship, or do I focus on the, hey, I had all these other positive experiences?
Well, I think the importance is when that negative happens, it's a moment. It's just a moment.
Sure, you're not wrong.
Otherwise, you just keep falling down that rabbit hole and dragging yourself down.
It's easier to remember the bad times and focus on that because they have a bigger impact.
You remember the losses.
There's
more
more
than you remember the
emotion
wins.
attached to it.
I go back to my moving days way back in the day, right? This is trivial to a lot of people, but I can tell you my moving, like this is when I was actually moving furniture. Now I can tell you some of the ones when I was managing as well, but the 2 summers I actually moved furniture, I could still tell you my worst days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they made
there was
such an impact.
There was a
It's the
stronger
same
emotion attached to it.
Same impact, when people talk about, when they leave reviews on a business or an interaction with a restaurant or whatever it might be, is that they literally will be able to, like, what is it? It's more likely to get a negative review from someone because they have something to say, as opposed to the people that they really had a great time, but they don't take the time to actually put the word out there.
We talked about that with the Yelp reviews a couple of years ago. Like,
what the fuck is your problem?
Exactly.
Yeah, that was a great episode.
Yes, it was. There's a lot of people that
an episode just response.
No, that was actually an episode.
Yeah, no,
the title of the episode was "What the fuck is your problem?" It was Steve, me, and Dustin, and it all started because of a Yelp review that we had that podcast.
Not about our podcast.
Not about
that was something that was a business that a business that I hold dear to me and people that I at the time, especially, and even now, but there's like, you were reading this and it was like one of those Yelp reviews that it was like, this is our 3rd time here and it was the 3rd bad experience, and you're just like,
Chipotle?
No.
Yeah. Although that is close to Steve's heart.
All right.
But no, so people are so more quick. They're more quickly to draw on
you negative
to draw on the negative. They're more likely to post the negative than they are to post the positive, because when the positive happens, they just kind of expect that's what's supposed to happen. When they go to a restaurant and they have really great service, they expect that. So when they have bad service, they post about that, but they don't post about the good stuff.
So
and I remember
emotional charge there, right? So there's a mental and emotional charge there when you're actually triggered, is the term people use today.
But I remember years ago, my wife and I went out to lunch, and we had the best service experience that we had ever had. And I made it a point to actually put it out on social media. This was the best experience we've ever had at a restaurant, and here's why.
We have derailed here, but that's a good comment.
I love Applebee's too.
It was not Applebee's.
It's your neighborhood place.
Similar to Applebee's, but a little bit more Italian.
Sean, you've been hugging that microphone for a little while now. I don't know what you wanted to comment on when you first grabbed it. Is it still relevant? Did you forget about it, or are you just like cuddling right now?
Road show.
The road show. Let's hear from the road show.
He's on.
No, you guys are just talking about what you were looking forward to, like this last year, with what what you're thankful for the coming year. And last year, at this time I was working in Amazon, and I've been in aviation for a long time, and I was able to get away from it for a little bit, almost a year, and it was probably the best thing that ever happened. But I remember telling myself around the beginning of this year, around Thanksgiving, that time, was to get back into it, but for the right reasons and with the right company. And I enjoyed Amazon, but I did miss being in the industry I've been doing for a long time. And the companies I work with in the past in aviation had some micromanaging CEOs, and just some bad shit happened to me. And then to the point where sometimes I get PTSD over it, because I went through a lot of shit with some of these people. And
was it a comfort issue, or did you just really like that industry?
I like the industry.
Okay.
I like the logistics side of it. And then now I'm, because I've always done it for so long, I like making things happen and try to solve problems. And that's always a big thing. And I finally landed a company where it's a company that appreciates me. to the point they just told me yesterday they're giving me a bonus just
Nice.
out of the blue.
Attaboy.
And it's a pretty nice bonus. So I wasn't even expecting that. And the fact that they just acknowledged me for doing a good job and thanking me for all the hard work. And whereas before it was always well, that's great. Now what are you going to do? Or when I was 2 weeks ago, I went to him and said I was starting to get burnt out a little bit because I was working quite a bit. And the CEO of the company was like, all right, let's fix this right now. What can we do to make it better? And I'm like, I wasn't used to that because
The attention.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was other previous companies were like, suck it up and deal with it, and it wasn't, I didn't need that much of a change, just a little bit of a break. And that's all I needed, just to kind of regroup. And he gave me that. And
Mhm.
it made me when I got back into it, once you kind of regrouped, I was even more focused with what I had to do and did a better job at it. So it's just hard to believe there was somebody out there that really would bring me on and then care for me as much as they do, just because of so many years of hell I've been through in that. And I don't know why I wanted to, because of the past experiences I've had. I was always like, I don't know if I want to go back in this shit, because it's insane. It's so busy with COVID now that people are traveling again, and it's like 10 times busier than it's ever been. But still, as busy as it is, I'm making things happen. I'm rebuilding relationships with people I haven't spoke to in years, and as customers, and it's been very rewarding. So that's all.
Good, man.
And you probably would not have, even if the opportunity you have had come up, if you were still with your old company, you probably still wouldn't have taken this opportunity, because you probably just would have been content doing what you were doing previously, because you were just, there was a level of comfort and security because you were with that company for as long as you were. It wasn't until that company let you go that what they actually did, not knowing, is they provided you the freedom to actually go out and do what you wanted to do. Had they not done that, you may not have pursued the opportunity that you have right now. So some people sit there and they look at it as, a company fired me. Other people look at it, and I think you do, as this company let me go, but they gave me the opportunity to be able to actually go work for someone I want to work with and do something I want to do.
Talking to Sean, or
Yeah. Talking directly to Sean.
are you?
Or for anybody out there.
Yes. Talking directly to Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Not talking about myself whatsoever.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
No.
No. I know you are talking to Sean, but I think it's
Well, I mean,
you can speak from experience.
Yeah.
All right.
No, but that's great. That's great.
It is great advice, and you can give a great advice from experience. And I'm not calling you out.
No, I know what you're getting at.
That is a very
So
open.
we need to get back on track.
I was about to.
So, Steven,
oh,
what
Wow.
do you hope to be thankful
No, no, you
for
can't do that to
next
me.
year? This is not final thoughts.
It's
but
then you can't bring that up.
what do you hope to be thankful for next year?
That's a closing remark.
he said not closing remarks.
You guys had a 17-hour podcast last week, so I might as well switch it up.
Forward.
Yeah, we are. Things are plugged in this
We're
week.
basically on the first third.
We will see you live next Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We'll still be going.
No, I don't. I honestly, and I can say this because I don't want to start. I have some things that I want to be thankful for next year. I'm happy that Nate, you brought up some of the things we said last year, because it is very relevant again to do that. What were you wanting to be thankful for this time last year? For me, I will introduce this to everyone in the garage at this point, everyone out there that's listening, which I know it's getting late. It's Thanksgiving Eve, and we've had some people that are getting ready to, like Jody, Ray, they're all getting off the feed because they have Thanksgiving tomorrow. I've met some new people this year that it really doesn't change. Like, problems are very universal, whether they be life-changing problems or they're just hurdles, little hurdles. I want to get better at the hurdles before hopefully they become life-changing problems.
Mountains.
That's right. The hurdles will get bigger if you don't address them. I'm big on communication. I think that that comes with experience. Some people say age, but like Sean, based on your comment, you know, your talk there about the new employer. The only thing I'll say to that point, and it may be construed as having a not as positive look on that, is a very positive thing that they did that you're not used to.
Yeah.
But when business becomes business and say things aren't going as well, it may not be the same response from that. But you know, now you appreciate what's happening now. You appreciate the lessons learned from the past. So now you can actually set goals that, I know you did actually, you said it on the podcast before, and we've talked personally, that, you know, it's like, you know what your lines are, you know what value you put on your family time and your life, and you will go work at a company like Amazon if need be, because it's not meeting the needs that are bigger in your life.
Right.
So right now is a great situation. And we all know, as we get more experience, I'll keep it at that, not age, but more experience. If you're listening and learning, you will know that something outside of your control will, and Sean is, if you listen to the podcast he's been on before, is like outside threats are more impactful because you literally have no control over them. You know where your line is. You know where your standards are. And if something changes, now do you stick with that? Like what Nate was talking about, do you stick with that job or that situation? Or do you just say, nope, I've at my threshold, something needs to change, or I'm going to change something. That last part, that I'm going to change something, and when you're looking at this whole thing of what do you want to be thankful for next year, is obviously, I think it is more of a hope thing, that you don't have to deal with that. You hope that things are going to be better. Next Thanksgiving, Sean, you hope that you have progressed in this career. You hope that your family has been healthy, happy, and obviously everything is good. And you've taken more vacations. You've been able to spend more time at home because of all the things that you've said about the fact that you don't want to be taken out of your family unit just for work.
Yep.
Those are the things that you want to be thankful for next year, is that you've actually made progress and you've stuck by what you said you wanted to do. And paying the bills, putting food on the table is always going to take precedence. I will say that. That's always going to be something that you have to do. You can't just walk away from a job and you have your standards and all of a sudden it's like, you know, fuck it. They disrespected me. I'm out.
With that being said, I love those points, all your points actually. And the with the situation with my job now, and if I were to get to that point, as a matter of fact, I jokingly said to them one day, like, I wonder if Amazon's still hiring. And they were like,
They are.
Yeah, they are. And they're offering $3,000 bonus, $3,000 bonus sign up too.
Cool.
But they were like, no, don't even joke about that. They were like, really, like, don't even joke about that. You know, what do we need to do to make you stay? You know, they're already starting like, what can we do to make? I'm like, I'm just joking, guys. You know, and the fact that if things do get slower and things are getting more difficult, you're right. If I'm not happy where I'm at and it's becoming another abusive relationship kind of thing again, then I'll leave. But I think these guys are, I've known one of the guys for over 15 years. He's a really good friend of mine, and he's really shown what he's capable of doing as to work with and what their company can do. And so I think, and knowing this, even if it slows down, they're going to try to make things work.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to just dismiss you, like say, well, whatever, where previous companies have when I've gone to leave and they're like, didn't even like lift a finger to try to like, what can we do to make it work? They were just like, all right, bye. You know, so these guys really want to make it work. So anyway.
Yeah. So I'll start. Let's do a bit of closing remarks. Spencer, you took the role a little bit here of
Yeah,
asking me- No, hang on.
Oh, you going first?
Yeah.
Whoa!
I might
what
round it out.
Actual is going on? Are you okay?
No, I'm good. Yeah, no. I'm fine. But I actually want to
Is this your
frame.
last episode?
Yeah. So Ray, oh, you're not listening anymore.
He's gonna be pissed.
No. What do you want to be thankful for next year? And I reserve the right to make the closing remarks as
First.
No, I think, one of the things that I want to be thankful for, and then you go bigger picture. Here we go. We got the note taker. So he doesn't have to listen next year.
It's got the highlighter out and everything.
Outside things, right? So this is one of those things I hope that we have taken some best practices. Not, to Ray's point, he's not listening at this point because his video is messing up, but it's not just America. It's not just certain countries, but, after this last year, in my opinion, I'm of the opinion that we've seen some overcorrection on some issues that we had, and that's not the way to address issues, in my opinion. Putting a Band-Aid on and quick fixes don't work, right? But I hope that, and that is a big thing with what I'm hoping to be, or what I want to be thankful for. There's a lot of hope there. I hope that, my family and my brother, which we haven't talked about a whole lot, as I hope that he isn't scared to go outside of the house to go watch a movie in a theater to protect himself and his family. I hope that there's enough, and this is not political, I hope there's enough known data that people are comfortable with, not saying that it's not there already or it's not, but it's that when you talk about things like COVID, you talk about things like the hot topics that are always been around, that somehow when it comes up again, like poverty, racism, all this stuff, it's like this never existed before today, and now it's a problem. Like, this shit's always going on, right? And it shifts and it stays the same. But I hope that the next Thanksgiving, I hope that I want to be thankful that I'm able to go back to a full normal, not a new normal. It's you can go do this because now there's actual media reporting that you can go out and do this. And if you want to get a vaccine, you can get a vaccine. And also, here's true data about the vaccine about this. This is what it does. This is what it doesn't do. With like the business side of it, I think that this is something that, I hope that, and I've seen it already, is that people want to get back out and actually interact with people. It's a reoccurring theme when I talk about what I want to be thankful for next year, is that people actually realize the importance of other people in their lives and firsthand people in their lives, not just their family unit, but it's also people that are important, that actually breed more interactions. They breed growth. They breed education. It's not just what is where you're at right now, and that's where you'll be a year from now. I hope that people grow from where they're at this Thanksgiving, much like they did from last Thanksgiving. The fact that there has been actual growth, the fact that last Thanksgiving I didn't get together with my personal family and they dropped off dishes on my front porch.
Yeah, I remember that.
And not much has changed, literally, from my viewpoint, but in their viewpoint, it has changed enough that we can get back together. So a year from now, what do I want to be thankful for is that we don't talk about these things. We don't debate about certain aspects that we're debating about now. It's Thanksgiving. Christmas is coming up for my family. Hanukkah for some families. End of the New Year's, whatever it is, sacred or secular type of holidays are coming up. And what do you do on those things? You get together with people you care about and that care about you. I hope to be thankful for the fact that things have leveled out to a point that we don't. This is going to be very controversial to the three people listening right now.
1, 2.
Yeah. I'm of the opinion that a lot of things that happened in the last year and a half to 2 years, when you keep people isolated, you hear things like from Ray Cheshire, who's a loyal listener and a supporter of the podcast. People I know, they say they're all about the other people. They're all about caring about other people, but they are the first people that are, a year ago buying 96 rolls of toilet paper and shoving them over.
COVID hoarder.
I'm just saying it still happens. That literally it is a very selfish mentality with a very false image of caring about other people.
Yeah, we saw that.
And if someone
gas,
doesn't,
too.
if someone disagrees with your viewpoint, that they're wrong, but the fact that they think you're wrong is offensive. I hope to next Thanksgiving is that we have completely leveled out, that we accept that people can have differing opinions and also have conversations about it. Tomorrow I'm going to go to my Thanksgiving gathering with my family, which I'm very thankful for. A lot of shit has happened in the last year, and last Thanksgiving was very different, and it was both a very positive and also an overwhelming negative experience in my life. I will carry that with me the rest of my life, and I'm hoping that this Thanksgiving will be better. And the following, what I'll be thankful for is that there's been a lot of growth, not only in my life, and maybe there are new people in my life at the next Thanksgiving, but the people that are consistent, my family, that there's no talk about this. There's literally, it's like we've leveled out to a point that you don't talk about where have you been, did you get the vaccine, who'd you vote for, all that stuff. I've experienced that last Thanksgiving. I might experience some of that tomorrow. But if you invite someone over to your home to have Thanksgiving or have a family gathering, is to really be thankful for that and appreciate that. And I really think that if you take those holiday traditions, those holiday gatherings, the holiday feeling, the sentiment right there in your everyday life, and you don't just wait for the holiday. We said it about Valentine's Day on our Valentine's Day episodes, is that there are a lot of people out there that they look at that as like, yeah, it's kind of a bullshit holiday because that's when you actually buy flowers, you do all this stuff. And I've said it on those episodes as well. When a holiday comes up, it should be a very blatant reminder is that you didn't do shit for the other 364. That you take a holiday on your calendar, that you have to actually do something for it. Thanksgiving, you give thanks. Did you do it any other day of the 364 of the year? I hope you can say that at least personally, that there was at least one other day that you were like, might be like mid-June, random day. You wake up and you're like, man, I'm really thankful for my family, my parents, my upbringing, all that stuff. But I don't think I really need to make this that blatant, but I can challenge most of you guys out there, guys and girls out there. It wasn't the majority of the days. You lose focus on that. I think there's a self-assessment there that you can actually take the traditions of the holidays. I'm not saying you have to do the turkey dinner and all this stuff.
I'd like to still have the turkey dinner.
We can do turkey every day.
Thank you.
No, I'm saying like you don't have to have the turkey dinner. You don't have to have the gathering. But you have to take the best practices of the holiday traditions, the gatherings, the times that you're happy to be around people, you're annoyed to be around people that are important to you, but you actually do that on a more regular basis.
Well said.
Spencer?
How can you follow that up, Nate?
With your your
closing
own
remarks.
Yeah, closing remarks.
So I go last because normally when I go last,
yeah,
people want to
I was ready to do
they
the
wanna
cheers.
say-
I was ready to play the music. It was
All right,
like
cheers.
the whole thing.
Cue the guitar.
Yeah. So what do you
Thanks for being here.
No, this is good. Let's end on a high note. So some people view the holidays as a lot of work, which it is, especially for the people preparing the meals and things like that. Possibly a lot of stress for seeing the family and things like that.
Yeah.
I personally feel like that's not the best way to go into it, right? Just like with any other interaction, if you go into it being stressed, you're going to be stressed. To try to go into tomorrow and to Thanksgiving a year from now with anticipation and with thanks and being grateful versus all the stress that goes along with it. So as far as what's for me to be thankful for next year is along your line, sleeve, is that we do get back to the normal interactions where we talk about the minutia of life versus is every interaction a possibility of life or death.
Yeah.
There last Thanksgiving, maybe even the Thanksgiving before that, I don't remember when everything, truly started, but it was, if I do this, or if mom does this, or if grandma does this, there's a chance that, we might not see them next Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice just to deal with the normal BS of the holidays. I think Sean mentioned, problems. Problems don't go away. They just change every year. So the problems that we'll be dealing with next Thanksgiving are going to be very different than the problems that we're dealing with this Thanksgiving. And if we looked at the problems from last Thanksgiving, they're very different than the problems that we deal with this Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned hurdles. I hope that the hurdles that we deal with next year are much more manageable than the hurdles that we dealt with this year and things like that. But I am thankful that I have, you guys to come to a night like this before, Thanksgiving, because in our 20s, we'd be out with a gajillion friends, local bar, things like that. In our 30s, it becomes a little different and people have different priorities.
40s,
and,
maybe.
as you get to your 40s,
I'm in my 40s.
He's already there.
Get to your 40s.
If I get to my 40s, those things change.
God willing.
Your experiences change and the people that you hang around with change. But I'm grateful and thankful that, I have, buddies like this that I can have a night like this because, I have good groups of friends and they're all, college, high school, soccer buddies, things like that, all very different. But no one has something like this. And, maybe we'll get together and watch a game.
Yeah.
Something like that. But no one has something like this. So to be thankful that we'll have this to come back to, I'll be very thankful for. And then agree that, health wise, that we're in a better state where we can enjoy debate the normal minutia of life versus truly, life or death situations with everybody. So in saying that, I hope all the viewers out there and all my friends, family, have a happy Thanksgiving and everyone stays healthy. And Nate, go for it, buddy.
I'm going to do what people do to me on this one right here. So I love this.
Interrupt.
Yeah. So
Go right ahead.
This is why you go last. This is why you go last.
Yeah, typically.
Yeah.
So one of those things that you commented about, and I think there's something that we actually normally do, is that I'm thankful for my health this last year. I'm thankful to be healthy and happy.
If you don't have your health,
listen,
you have nothing.
What the fuck did you do to be healthy this year? As you smoke your cigar intentionally. No, but I think this is something that's the difference, right? That's the difference of I made it, and you could have been eating cheeseburgers every day. You could have been like pulling through the McDonald's drive-through every day, right? But I don't want to have the conversation is that, and I'm not commenting is that you took a shot or you did whatever the issue that we're dealing with. But it's like, what did you do every day to be healthier? To be healthy? Are you appreciative of why you're thankful that you and your family are healthy? Or do you take the mindset is that I want to be thankful next year to be healthy, and now you have to do something about it? There is a mentality shift of I'm thankful I fucking lived versus I am thankful because I did everything I could health-wise to take care of myself.
So you can live a better life.
That you can live a better life. And you can be dealt another card, right? That you did everything right.
But if this wasn't a wake-up call, it's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. don't get your diagnosis for diabetes and then just drive through, on McDonald's on the way home. Don't take your vaccine shot and be like, I'm thankful for the vaccine. Or I'm thankful that we're healthy, and then drive through the McDonald's drive-through. Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are actions. That's what I'm saying, is that I appreciate the being thankful for the past, that you made it, but I think this is a different mentality, is that you can actually take everything you said, Spencer,
Take steps
they're all
going forward.
No, they're all very impactful steps, but it's how do you make it to next Thanksgiving?
In a better shape than not physically.
How do you make it?
Yeah.
At the very minimum, how do you make it? You hope to make it and just do whatever you want. And then next Thanksgiving, you hope that you are that person at the table and you're like, really thankful for my health. I'm thankful I made it another year.
Hope versus action.
Like, you can hope to the future. To your point, Nate, you can hope to the future and make steps. But if you're looking back and be like, happy I made it, you don't look well.
Jeez, he's fine.
Not Nate. I'm saying to the
Okay.
person around the table. It's a nice
Thanks.
shirt.
Go ahead, Nate.
Go ahead, Nate.
Oh, thanks, Spencer.
Yeah. Well, that's all we have.
Sorry for Matt Damon. Didn't make it.
Man, Damon. So one, I am thankful that over the
For a
course,
7.5 bottle, we certainly liked it. I'm just saying
Yeah. yeah,
And that one's
that. We didn't do a rating on that one.
we didn't.
I will say that I am thankful that I can look back at what I said last year and feel proud that I accomplished some of the goals I set out to accomplish this year.
I love that.
I mean, because a lot of us will set goals, and if we don't hit it, we forget about it or we don't care. It's like, well, I made that goal, just, something to strive forward, something to strive to, but I didn't hit it, but I'm still going on. So, I didn't hit it. I'm thankful that I actually hit some of the goals I set last year.
Good.
Going forward into next year, now that I have started a new position in my career, I'm hoping that this time next year I've taken on more. I've grown in my position, because in my last position there wasn't a whole lot more I could have done.
Mhm.
And that's one of the reasons why I was trying to find something else, because I couldn't really go anywhere. Doing what I do now, I recognize that there's a lot of growth that I can do. And I hope that I actually do accomplish some of that growth. I don't want to have the same workload a year from now that I do now.
Right.
Because if I do, the next 12 months are going to be miserable.
Next 12, 24, 36.
Exactly. And I don't want to fall into that rut. I want to do something that I'm actually proud of. I want to enjoy what I'm doing. And I've never been, I shouldn't say never. The last several years of my life, I've never been one of those, oh God, it's Monday, thank God it's Friday kind of people.
Right.
Um,
Because you work at a cigar shop on the part-time.
I love working at the cigar shop. Even though my schedule has changed, I still love working at the cigar shop. But no, I still want to be, I want to be happier doing what I'm doing come next year.
Yeah.
This past year, being able to take the time off and take the vacation that my wife and I took recently, I want to be able to do that more.
Yeah.
The amount of vacation time that I get every year, I don't want to just take it off just because I have to take time off or I'm going to lose it. I actually want to do something with that time off. Instead of just taking the time off and sitting at home watching TV, playing video games, watching movies, whatever it is, I actually want to do something with that time off. I want to make the best of that time off that I can. And part of that is also, and I think anyone that's in a relationship, this should always be a goal, is to have a better relationship with my spouse, with my significant other. That was one of Shannon's goals last year. And he talked about, all the stuff that he's done over the course of last year and accomplished that goal. But that's one of those goals, personal relationships, career. It's one of the, or even health. Just because you set a goal and you accomplish it that doesn't have to be the end of that road. You can still do more.
Mm-hmm.
Like, am I in a better relationship with my spouse now than I was a year ago? If the answer is yes, cool. But that doesn't mean that next year you have to be at the exact same place you are now.
No, same question.
You can still grow.
Same question.
Exactly.
Next year. Yeah.
You can still deepen that relationship. You can still make that relationship better. You can still do more things in your career, make your career better. Just because you hit a goal doesn't mean you have to stop trying. You can always keep going.
Yeah.
One of the other things that I want to set as a goal this next year, it's something that my wife and I had talked about for a while, but with the things that have happened over the course of the last 2 years, it hasn't been the easiest thing to do. We want to actually host a friends get-together, a friends party at our.
Friendsgiving.
You can call it Friendsgiving if you want, but it's going to be when it's warmer weather.
That's not a Friendsgiving.
Like,
not amused.
I mean, like, but I mean, no, like,
he's not coming.
Not anymore.
you're assuming he was invited. He's not in the garage, so I could say that.
I gotta try these fucking green beans. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay, but no, so that's the thing. Like, steak and wine Sunday is a thing that my wife and I do. Like, it would be awesome to be able to have people over to our house to enjoy a steak and wine Sunday.
Very attainable goal for the record.
I mean, for a lot of people, it's a scheduling issue.
Well, you just got 2 new guests. Got to get more steak.
That's fine. We usually buy a tenderloin at a time. But you were gonna add something in there.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
But no, I mean,
I like being on the other side of this.
But the reason
Listen
that
to you guys do your closing remarks, and then I can actually
you
comment.
still keep talking though during
but no, the reason that my
I'm
wife
still the host.
the reason my wife and I want to be able to have a get together is there are things that my wife and I enjoy that. Do you guys need a moment?
You're good, man. Wrap it up.
I know you got the pink shirt and all, and
Oh, yeah. Yes.
but no, there are things that my wife and I enjoy that we would like to share with other people.
Mhm.
And that's the whole point of having a group of friends over, is because of my wife and I's work schedule, we don't go out a whole lot. We don't, I work 2 jobs. My wife works. Our weeks are fairly busy and filled. The times that the 2 of us aren't working, we try and spend time with each other and do things with each other. But we want to be able to have other people experience those things as well.
You want to share.
Exactly. And if we can be a way that causes other people to get together, then so be it. Like, that's what we want to do. We want to have other people come over.
And you should.
Yeah.
You can and you should.
And that's what we want to do. We can do it. We should do it. We want to do it. The next year, we need to do it.
Next month.
All right. So, may I?
You doing closing
Absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead, Steve.
You guys want to do closing remarks?
Yeah, go ahead. Wrap it. Start it off, Steve. So this is why Miguel went fucking 14 hours.
It was Hector, but I'm listening to you guys. Actually, this is all very, very fresh, and I love what you guys have to say. It's very impactful, and I Nate, with you and your wife, you want to share that. There are 2 terms here, right? So the more I've actually talked about this, and maybe next year and Thanksgiving, there will be another topic title. Probably will be, because I'm in my head right now, but Thanksgiving is actually giving thanks about your past.
Yes.
I really do think that. I think there's something there. I appreciate last year, and Nate, you're here.
I like that we got some color in the audience, by the way.
Well, tie-dye
We got
color.
some tie-dye, we got some blue. It's about time.
But last year, we talked about this, and Nate and Jess just came in the garage, and last year Nate was a part of this
Other
episode.
Nate, other Jess.
Correct. It is confusing.
No one
I
can see
know.
them. They don't know.
No, but it was something that we were talking about. Like, what do you want to be thankful for next year? Is what we talked about last year, and there was a lot of different things going on in my life. Listening to you guys, and this may not sit with everyone, but the Thanksgiving is, what are you thankful for? Maybe I just, like, as we're talking about this, I actually took something from the conversation. But what do you want to be proud of next year?
There you go.
Ooh.
So when you frame this conversation, I'm going to write that down.
Write that down.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to take another
You can't-
sip of the. If I
Every
forget-
time you write something down, we take a drink.
Cheers.
All right.
It's a new drinking game.
I was gonna reference it.
Ah. All right, that's gonna. No, but my point is that Thanksgiving might be about giving thanks. See you, Shannon.
Have a good Thanksgiving, man.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and Shannon. If you're looking at Thanksgiving, maybe it is something. This is something I learned tonight: is that you are giving thanks for the past, something that actually you've done well, and people around you have actually impacted your life. But maybe it's not about what do you want to be thankful for next year. What do you want to be proud about?
It's like
next year?
ratcheting it up a notch.
Yeah. So maybe you have two toasts. It's
It's like a Proud Boys Thanksgiving.
Oh no, next year. Next year it's gonna be next year when we're all with our families, it's gonna be 3. It's like
Spencer,
here's what I'm
great
thankful.
having you on the last
You heard
time.
it. You heard where he stands.
It's like next year. What do I want to be thankful for?
No, but
What do I-
it is. No,
what do I
it
be
is.
proud
So it's a Proudsgiving, right? So it's not Proud Boys. All right.
Don't
Why are you
just bring it
you
back to
said
it.
it.
Just bring it.
No,
This
I'm
is why,
saying.
yeah.
All right. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself. No, it is actually something that is that. What do you want to be proud of next year that you can give thanks for?
I like it.
Ooh.
That is a goal that you have to have. I think that every year that you go around the table, like we did tonight, and you will do tomorrow, everyone, is that you go around the table and you give thanks. Everyone looks at what do you give thanks for that you are at that table and what you had happen up to that point. I reframe that after this conversation tonight is that what do you want to be thankful for next year? You can actually do that as a goal setting thing. Is that what do you want to be proud of next year when you're sitting at the table? This is goal setting things that you can do in your life for yourself and for other people. And that is that communication. That's the listening to other people. It's all the things that you talked about. Nate, you brought it up from last year. I think I knew you were making notes again, and you'll listen to this episode next year. And according to Ray, we can't actually cut this podcast off ever. So this is what I do the rest of my life. But it is. I think that is another reframe way of looking at it, is that what do you want to be proud of next year when you're sitting around the table and giving thanks?
I like it.
Cheers, guys. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Wild Turkey Day. Cheers, everyone.